Flower Ornament Sutra, Book 38. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of oceanic knowledge, entering into unexcelled, complete, perfect enlightenment. They penetrate all realms of sentient beings. This is their first oceanic knowledge. They penetrate all worlds without giving rise to arbitrary discriminations. This is their second oceanic knowledge. They know all realms of space and are measureless and immaterial, and enter the network of all different worlds in the 10 directions. This is their third oceanic knowledge. Great enlightening beings skillfully penetrate phenomena. They penetrate their fluidity, non-annihilation, non-eternity, infinity, non-birth, non-destruction, and totality, because they know them all. This is their fourth oceanic knowledge. Great enlightening beings know the roots of goodness accumulated by the Buddhas, enlightening beings, listeners, individual illuminates, and all ordinary people of the past, present, and future. The roots of goodness they have accumulated, do accumulate, and will accumulate. The roots of goodness already accomplished, now being accomplished, and to be accomplished by the Buddhas of all times in perfect enlightenment, and the roots of goodness in the teaching and civilizing of all sentient beings by the Buddhas of all times. Knowing all these, they believe in them, approve of them, aspire to them, and cultivate them tirelessly. This is their fifth oceanic knowledge. Moment to moment, great enlightening beings enter untold eons of the past and know how many Buddhas appeared in each eon, no matter how unspeakably many they were, and know their congregations, their teaching and training methods, the lifespans of all the sentient beings, and how long their doctrine lasted. All this they see clearly in each and every eon. They also know if there were sentient beings who planted roots of goodness for enlightenment in ages when there were no Buddhas. They also know if there are any sentient beings who will get to see Buddhas in the future when their roots of goodness ripen. In this way, they tirelessly examine untold eons of the past. This is their sixth oceanic knowledge. Great enlightening beings penetrate the ages of the future, examine and distinguish all ages, measureless, boundless, and know what ages will have Buddhas and what ages will not, how many Buddhas will appear in what ages, what the names of each Buddha will be, what worlds they will live in, what the names of those worlds will be, how many sentient beings they will liberate, and how long they will live. They observe in this way throughout the future, knowing all endlessly, tirelessly. This is their seventh oceanic knowledge. Great enlightening beings enter the present, observe and reflect, and moment after moment see boundless kinds of worlds in the 10 directions, each having Buddhas who have attained, are attaining, and will attain supreme enlightenment. As they go to the site of enlightenment, sit under the tree of enlightenment, conquer the demons, attain unexcelled, complete, perfect enlightenment, get up and go into the city, ascend to the heavens, expound the subtle truth, turn the great wheel of teaching, manifest spiritual powers, tame sentient beings, and finally hand on the teaching of complete enlightenment, give up their lives, and enter final nirvana. After they have entered nirvana, their teachings are collected to preserve them in the world. The Buddha's monuments are adorned and honored in various ways. The enlightening beings also see the sentient beings in those worlds, encounter the Buddha's teachings, accept and preserve and repeat them, remember and ponder them, and increase in wisdom and understanding. They extend such observations throughout the 10 directions and have no misunderstandings about the Buddha's teachings. Why? Because great enlightening beings know the Buddhas are all like dreams, yet they go to all Buddhas and honor them. At such times, enlightening beings do not cling to their own bodies. They do not cling to the Buddhas. They do not cling to the world. They do not cling to the congregation. They do not cling to the preaching. They do not cling to the age. Yet they see the Buddhas and hear the teachings, observe the world and enter into all ages tirelessly. This is their 8th oceanic knowledge. Great enlightening beings honor countless Buddhas in each age, for untold eons, appearing to die in one place and be born in another. They honor the Buddhas as well as the enlightening beings and disciples in their congregations with all kinds of transmundane offerings. After the Buddhas pass away, they honor their relics with unsurpassed offerings, and also extensively practice charity, satisfying sentient beings. With an inconceivable mind, a mind not seeking reward, with ultimate determination to provide benefit, great enlightening beings, for the sake of supreme, complete, perfect enlightenment, honor the Buddhas, benefit sentient beings, preserve the true teaching, and reveal and expound it for untold eons. This is their 9th oceanic knowledge. Great enlightening beings wholeheartedly seek from all Buddhas, from all enlightening beings, from all teachers of truth, the principles expounded by enlightening beings, the principles studied by enlightening beings, the principles taught by enlightening beings, the principles practiced by enlightening beings, the methods of purification of enlightening beings, the methods of development of enlightening beings, the methods of training of enlightening beings, the methods of equanimity of enlightening beings, the method of emancipation of enlightening beings, and enlightening beings' methods of total mental command. Having obtained these teaching, they absorb and retain them, read and repeat them, analyze and explain them, never tiring of this, causing countless sentient beings to develop an awareness of the Buddha teachings that corresponds to omniscience, to penetrate the characteristics of reality, and to attain non-regression in respect to unexcelled, complete, perfect enlightenment. Enlightening beings continue this way tirelessly for untold eons. This is their 10th oceanic knowledge. These are the 10 oceanic knowledges by which great enlightening beings enter unexcelled, complete, perfect enlightenment. Based on these, enlightening beings can attain the ocean of supreme knowledge of Buddhas. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of jewel-like state in unexcelled, complete, perfect enlightenment. They go to the Buddhas in countless worlds, behold them, pay obeisance to them, serve them and honor them with offerings. This is their first jewel-like state. They listen to true teaching from inconceivably many Buddhas, absorb it and remember it, analyze and ponder it, increasing in awareness and wisdom, carrying this out everywhere. This is their second jewel-like state. They disappear from this land and appear to be born elsewhere, yet have no confusion about the Buddha teaching. This is their third jewel-like state. They know how to elicit all principles from one principle and are able to analyze and explain each of them, because the various meanings of all principles are ultimately all one meaning. This is their fourth jewel-like state. They know how to reject afflictions, how to stop afflictions, how to prevent afflictions, and how to extirpate afflictions. They cultivate the practices of enlightening beings, do not experience absolute truth, but ultimately arrive at the further shore of ultimate truth. With expedient skill they learn well what is to be learned, and cause their past vows to reach fulfillment without physical fatigue. This is their fifth jewel-like state. They know that all the objects of mental discriminations of enlightening beings have no location, yet they still say there are various locations. Though they have no discrimination and do not create anything, yet because they want to tame all sentient beings, they do cultivate practices and do act. This is their sixth jewel-like state. They know all things are of one and the same essence, which is no essence, no variety, no infinity, no calculability, no measurability, no form, no characteristics. Whether one or many, all are ungraspable. Yet they know for certain what the norms of Buddhas, enlightening beings, individual illuminates, heroes, and ordinary people are. What things are good and what are not good. What is mundane and what is supramundane. What is in error and what is without error. What is contaminated and what is uncontaminated. What is compounded and what is uncompounded. This is their seventh jewel-like state. Great enlightening beings find that Buddha cannot be grasped. Enlightening beings cannot be grasped, phenomena cannot be grasped, and sentient beings cannot be grasped. Yet they do not give up the vow to tame sentient beings and enable them to attain true enlightenment. Why? Great enlightening beings are skillful observers and know the mentalities of all sentient beings, and know the perspectives of all sentient beings, and guide them accordingly, so that they can attain nirvana. They practice the deeds of enlightening beings zealously, in order to fulfill their vow to enlighten sentient beings. This is their eighth jewel-like state. Great enlightening beings know that tactful instruction, manifestation of nirvana, and all means of liberating sentient beings are construed by mind and thought, and are not aberrant or false. Why? Enlightening beings realize that all things are equal in all times. They do not move from thusness, yet do not abide in ultimate truth. They do not see that there are any sentient beings who ever have received, will receive, or do receive teaching. And they know in themselves they have nothing to practice, there being nothing at all born or perishing that can be grasped. Yet they cause their vows not to be in vain by means of all things. This is their ninth jewel-like state. Great enlightening beings hear from countless Buddhas predictions of future Buddhas, each with different names, living in different ages. They listen to this for untold eons, and having heard, cultivate practice, not startled or frightened, not lost or confused, because they know the knowledge of Buddhas is inconceivable, because the predictions of the Buddhas have no ambiguity in their words, because of the extraordinary power of their own active commitment, and because they foster perfect enlightenment in all who are capable of being taught, fulfilling all their vows, equal in extent to the cosmos. This is their 10th jewel-like state. Based on these 10 jewel-like states in unexcelled, complete, perfect enlightenment, enlightening beings attain the jewel of supreme great knowledge and wisdom of Buddhas. Great enlightening beings generate 10 kinds of adamantine mind of commitment to universal enlightenment. They think, all truths are boundless, inexhaustible. I should realize them thoroughly by means of knowledge comprehending past, present, and future. This is their first adamantine commitment to universal enlightenment. They also think, There are infinite sentient beings even on a point the size of a hair tip, to say nothing of in all universes. I should calm them and liberate them by means of unexcelled nirvana. This is their second adamantine commitment to universal enlightenment. They also think the worlds of the 10 directions are measureless, boundless, limitless, inexhaustible. I should adorn them all with the finest adornments of the Buddha lands, with all the adornments being truly real. This is their third adamantine commitment to universal enlightenment. They also think sentient beings are measureless, boundless, limitless, inexhaustible. I should dedicate all roots of goodness to them and illumine them with the light of unexcelled knowledge. This is their fourth adamantine commitment to universal enlightenment. They also think the Buddhas are infinite, boundless, unlimited, inexhaustible. I should dedicate the roots of goodness I plant to offer to them, causing those roots of goodness to reach everywhere, with no lack. After that I will attain unexcelled, complete, perfect enlightenment. This is their fifth adamantine commitment to universal enlightenment. Seeing all Buddhas and hearing their teachings, great enlightening beings become very joyful. Not attached to their own bodies or to the bodies of Buddhas, they understand the body of a Buddha is not real or unreal, not existent or non-existent, not of a particular nature, not without nature, not material, not immaterial, not form, not formless, not born, not extinct, really without existence, yet not destroying existence. Why? Because it cannot be grasped through any nature or characteristic at all. This is their sixth adamantine commitment to universal enlightenment. If anyone should revile or beat enlightening beings, cut off their hands or feet, gouge out their eyes, or even cut off their heads, they are able to bear it all and never become angry or vicious as a result of this. They cultivate the practices of enlightening beings for countless eons, taking care of sentient beings, never abandoning them. Why? Why? Because enlightening beings have already observed all things to be non-dual, and their minds are undisturbed. They can give up their own bodies and endure those pains. This is their seventh adamantine commitment to universal enlightenment. Great enlightening beings also think the ages of the future are infinite, boundless, limitless, inexhaustible. I should travel the path of enlightening beings throughout those ages in one world, teaching sentient beings, and do the same in all worlds in the space of the cosmos, without fright or fear. Why? Because this is the way the path of enlightening beings should be in principle, cultivated for the sake of all sentient beings. This is their eighth adamantine commitment to universal enlightenment. Great enlightening beings also think unexcelled, complete, perfect enlightenment is based on the mind. If the mind is pure and clear, one can fulfill all roots of goodness and will surely attain freedom in enlightenment. If I wish to attain supreme, consummate enlightenment, I can do so at will. If I wish to annihilate all grasping of objects, I can do that too. Yet I do not annihilate, because I want to reach the ultimate end of the enlightenment of the Buddhas. And I also do not immediately realize supreme enlightenment in order to fulfill my original vow to carry out the practice of enlightening beings through all worlds and enlighten sentient beings. This is their ninth adamantine commitment to universal enlightenment. Great enlightening beings know Buddha is ungraspable, enlightenment is ungraspable, Enlightening beings are ungraspable. All things are ungraspable. Sentient beings are ungraspable. The mind is ungraspable. Action is ungraspable. The past is ungraspable. The future is ungraspable. The present is ungraspable. All worlds are ungraspable, and the created and uncreated are ungraspable. Thus, enlightening beings dwell in quiescence, profundity, silent extinction, non-contention, speechlessness, non-duality, incomparability, essence, truth, liberation, nirvana, and ultimate reality. Yet do not give up any of their great vows. Do not give up the will for omniscience. Do not give up the deeds of enlightening beings. Do not give up teaching sentient beings. Do not give up the transcendent ways. Do not give up taming sentient beings. Do not give up serving Buddhas. Do not give up explaining truths. Do not give up adorning the world. Why? Because great enlightening beings have made great vows. Though they comprehend the characteristics of all things, their great kindness and compassion increase, and they cultivate measureless virtues. Their minds do not abandon sentient beings, because while things have no absolute existence, the ignorant do not realize this. So enlightening beings are committed to enlightening them so that they clearly comprehend the nature of things. Why? All Buddhas rest peacefully in quiescence, yet by great compassion they teach in the world ceaselessly. Reflecting on this, enlightening beings do not abandon sentient beings. Also, they will not abandon great compassion, because they have already developed great commitment and have vowed to certainly benefit all sentient beings, to accumulate all roots of goodness, to persist in appropriate dedication, to develop profound wisdom, to accommodate all sentient beings, to be impartial toward all sentient beings. They speak truthfully, without falsehood, vow to give all sentient beings the supremely great teaching, and vow to perpetuate the lineage of Buddhas. As long as all sentient beings are not yet liberated, are not yet enlightened, and have not yet realized Buddhahood, the enlightening beings' great undertaking is not completed, and they will not give up great compassion. This is their 10th adamantine commitment to universal enlightenment. These are the 10 adamantine commitments of enlightening beings to universal enlightenment. Based on these, they can attain the indestructible, supreme spiritual knowledge of Buddhas. Great enlightening beings have 10 great undertakings. They think, I should serve and honor all Buddhas. This is their first great undertaking. They also think, after the final extinction of all Buddhas, I should adorn monuments of the Buddhas, offering all kinds of flowers, garlands, incenses, perfumes, aromatic powders, cloths, parasols, pennants, and banners, and take up and preserve the true teachings of the Buddhas. This is their third great undertaking. They also think, I should teach and tame all sentient beings so that they may realize supreme perfect enlightenment. This is their fourth great undertaking. They also think, I should adorn all worlds with the supreme adornments of the Buddha lands. This is their fifth great undertaking. They also think, I should develop great compassion and tirelessly carry out the acts of enlightening beings forever in all worlds for the sake of sentient beings, one and all, so that they may all attain the unsurpassed enlightenment of Buddhas. This is their sixth great undertaking. They also think, the Buddhas are infinite. I should spend inconceivable eons with each and every Buddha, honoring them and making offerings. This is their seventh great undertaking. They also think, after the passing away of the Buddhas, I should set up a precious monument for the relics of each one, those monuments to be as high and wide as untold worlds. I should also make effigies of Buddhas in the same way, and present all kinds of precious banners and pennants, canopies, fragrances, flowers, and robes for inconceivable eons without a thought of weariness, in order to fulfill the teachings of Buddhas, in order to honor the Buddhas, in order to edify sentient beings, in order to preserve the true teaching, and in order to reveal and expound the teaching. This is their eighth great undertaking. Great enlightening beings also think, by these roots of goodness I should accomplish unexcelled enlightenment, gain entry into the state of all Buddhas, and be equal in essence to all Buddhas. This is their ninth great undertaking. Great enlightening beings also think, once I have attained true awakening, I should expound the truth in all worlds for untold eons, and show inconceivable autonomous spiritual powers, without weariness of body, speech, or mind, and without deviating from the truth, because of being supported by the power of Buddha, because of diligently carrying out great vows for the sake of all sentient beings, because of great benevolence being foremost, because of great compassion being ultimate, because of having arrived at the formless truth, because of abiding by true speech, because of realizing that all things are silent and void, because of realizing that all sentient beings are ungraspable and yet not contradicting the doings of action, because of being the same one substance as the Buddhas of past, present, and future, because of pervading the cosmos and space, because of realizing that all things are signless, because of attaining birthlessness and deathlessness, because of embodying all qualities of Buddhahood, ceaselessly taming sentient beings, and carrying out Buddha work by the power of great vows. This is their 10th great undertaking. Based on these 10 great undertakings, enlightening beings persist in the acts of enlightening beings and are imbued with the supremely great knowledge of Buddhas. Great enlightening beings have 10 ultimate great tasks: to honor and provide for all Buddhas, to be able to save all the sentient beings they think of, to single-mindedly seek all facets of Buddhahood, to accumulate all roots of goodness, to contemplate all Buddha teachings, to fulfill all vows, to accomplish all enlightening practices, to serve all genuine teachers, to visit the Buddhas in all worlds, and to hear and remember the true teachings of all Buddhas. Based on these, enlightening beings can accomplish the ultimate great task of the knowledge of unexcelled, complete, perfect enlightenment. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of indestructible faith. They have indestructible faith in all Buddhas, in all Buddha's teachings, in all wise and holy mendicants, in all enlightening beings, in all genuine teachers, in all sentient beings, in all great vows of enlightening beings, in all practices of enlightening beings, in honoring and serving all Buddhas, in the skillful mystic techniques of enlightening beings, and in teaching and taming all sentient beings. Based on these, enlightening beings can attain the supreme, indestructible faith of great knowledge of Buddhas. Great enlightening beings have 10 ways of receiving the predictions of enlightenment. Having extremely profound inner understanding, being able to develop the roots of goodness of enlightening beings as appropriate, cultivating extensive great practices, open receiving of the prediction, occult receiving of the prediction, realizing enlightenment by their own minds, accomplishing tolerance, teaching and taming sentient beings, comprehending the number of all ages, and mastery of all practices of enlightening beings. By these, enlightening beings can receive the prediction of enlightenment from all Buddhas. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of dedication of roots of goodness, by which they can dedicate all roots of goodness. They dedicate their roots of goodness to be the same as the enlightened guides in terms of vows, mind, action, faculties, impartiality, mindfulness, purity, state, fulfillment, and incorruptibility. They dedicate their roots of goodness to develop in this way and none other. Based on this, they attain supreme dedication of roots of goodness. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of attainment of wisdom: giving freely, deeply understanding all Buddha teachings, entering the boundless knowledge of Buddhas, being able to cut off doubts in all dialogues, penetrating the doctrines of the wise, deeply understanding the skillful use of words by the Buddhas in all their teachings, deeply understanding how planting a few roots of goodness in the company of Buddhas will enable one to fulfill all pure qualities and attain the infinite knowledge of Buddhas, accomplishing the inconceivable states of enlightening beings, being able to visit untold Buddha lands in one moment of thought, and awakening to the enlightenment of all Buddhas, entering all realms of reality, hearing and holding the teachings expounded by all Buddhas, and deeply penetrating the variously arrayed sayings of all Buddhas. Based on these, enlightening beings can attain the supreme realizational knowledge of all Buddhas. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of development of a boundlessly vast mind: development in the company of all Buddhas, observing the realms of all sentient beings, observing all lands, all worlds, all phenomena, observing all things as being like space, observing the extensive great practices of all enlightening beings, correctly remembering all Buddhas of past, present, and future, observing the results of innumerable actions, purifying all Buddha lands, entering the great congregations of all Buddhas, investigating the subtle pronouncements of all Buddhas. Based on these, enlightening beings can attain the boundlessly vast ocean of knowledge of all Buddha teachings. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of hidden treasury. They know all things are a treasury, producing virtuous practices. They know all things are a treasury of right thought. They know all things are a treasury of illumination of mental control. They know all things are a treasury of intellectual powers and exposition. They know all things are a treasury of inexpressible, accurate awareness of truth. They know all Buddha's autonomous spiritual powers are a treasury of observation of revelations. They know all things are a treasury of skillfully developing impartiality. They know all things are a treasury of constant vision of all Buddhas. They know all inconceivable eons are a mine of realization, that all exist like illusions. They know all Buddhas and enlightening beings are treasuries producing joy and pure faith. Based on these, enlightening beings can attain the treasury of truth of supreme knowledge of Buddhas, and can tame all sentient beings. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of rules of behavior. They should not slander any enlightening teachings. Their faith in the Buddhas should be indestructible. They should honor and respect all enlightening beings. They should never give up their friendship with wise people. They should not think of those who seek individual salvation. They should avoid all regression on the path of enlightening beings. They should not give rise to any malice toward sentient beings. They should cultivate all roots of goodness to perfection. They should be able to conquer all demons. They should fulfill all the ways of transcendence. Based on these, enlightening beings can attain the supreme discipline of great knowledge. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of control. Control of life, being able to remain alive for untold eons. Control of mind, their intellect being able to enter countless concentrations. Control of faculties, being able to array all worlds with infinite embellishments. Control of action, being able to experience consequences at any time. Control of birth, being able to manifest birth in all worlds. Control of understanding, being able to see Buddha filling all worlds. Control of will, being able to achieve true awakening in any lands whenever desired. Control of spiritual powers, showing all kinds of great mystical displays. Control of doctrine, revealing boundless gateways to truth. Control of knowledge, in each moment of thought manifesting the 10 powers and fearlessnesses of Buddhas, attaining true enlightenment. Based on these 10 controls, enlightening beings can attain mastery of enlightenment, fulfilling the transcendence, knowledge, and spiritual power of all Buddhas. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of unimpeded functions. Unimpeded functions relating to sentient beings, lands, phenomena and principles, bodies, vows, realms, knowledge, spiritual capacities, miracles, and powers. What are their unimpeded functions relating to sentient beings, and so on? Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of unimpeded functions relating to sentient beings. Knowing that all sentient beings are void of being. Knowing that all sentient beings are only upheld by thought. Explaining the truth to all sentient beings in a manner appropriate to the time. Magically producing the appearance of all realms of sentient beings. Placing all sentient beings inside a pore without crowding. Showing all sentient beings other worlds. Manifesting the bodies of the celestial beings Indra, Brahma, and the world guardians for all sentient beings. Manifesting the calm behavior of Buddha's disciples and individual illuminates for all sentient beings. Manifesting the deeds of enlightening beings for all sentient beings. Manifesting the Buddha's physical embellishments, powers of omniscience, and attainment of enlightenment for all beings. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of unimpeded function relating to lands. Making all lands one land. Fitting all lands in a pore. Knowing that the totality of lands is inexhaustible. Filling all lands with one body sitting. Showing all lands in one body. Shaking all lands without frightening the beings there. Arraying one land with the adornments of all lands. Pervading all lands with one Buddha and one congregation. Showing sentient beings. Showing all sentient beings the infinite differentiations of the network of lands filling the 10 directions. All small lands, middle-sized lands, large lands, broad lands, deep lands, upright lands, inverted lands, sideways lands, straight lands. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of unimpeded function relating to phenomena and principles. They know that all phenomena are in one phenomenon, and one phenomenon is in all phenomena, yet they do not contravene the understanding of sentient beings. They elicit all principles from transcendent wisdom, explain them to others, and enlighten them all. They know all things are beyond words, yet they enable all sentient beings to understand them. They know all things are of one characteristic, yet they can expound infinite characteristics of things. They know all truths are beyond explanation, yet they explain boundless ways of access to truth. They can skillfully operate a pregnant symbol representing all truths, accommodating all things in one principle without contradiction, expounding it for untold eons without exhausting it. Including all things in the teaching of enlightenment, they enable all sentient beings to gain understanding. They know all things have no boundaries. They know the ultimate non-obstruction of all things, like a network of illusions, with infinite differentiations, explaining this to sentient beings for infinite eons without exhausting it. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of unimpeded function relating to bodies, encompassing the bodies of all sentient beings in one's own body, merging one's own body into the bodies of all sentient beings, all Buddha bodies entering one Buddha body entering all Buddha bodies, encompassing all lands in one's own body, pervading all things of all times with one body, showing sentient beings, showing boundless bodies in one body entering concentration, in one body showing as many bodies as sentient beings attaining enlightenment, showing the body of one being in the bodies of all beings, showing the bodies of all beings in the body of one being, showing the body of reality in the bodies of all beings, showing the bodies of all beings in the body of reality. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of unimpeded function relating to vows. They make the vows of all enlightening beings their own vows. They manifest themselves attaining enlightenment by the power of the vow of attainment of enlightenment of all Buddhas. They themselves attain supreme perfect enlightenment in accordance with the sentient beings they are teaching. They never end their great vows, throughout all eons without bounds. Detaching from the body of discriminating consciousness and not clinging to the body of knowledge, they manifest all bodies by free will. They give up their own bodies to fulfill the aspirations of others. They edify all sentient beings without giving up their great vows. They cultivate the deeds of enlightening beings in all ages. Yet their great vows never end. They manifest the attainment of true enlightenment in a minute point, pervade all Buddha lands by the power of vowing, and show this to each and every sentient being in untold worlds. They explain a phrase of teaching throughout all universes, raising great clouds of true teaching, flashing the lightning of liberation, booming the thunder of truth, showering the rain of elixir of immortality, fulfilling all sentient beings by the power of great vows. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of unimpeded functions relating to realms. They abide in the realm of reality without abandoning the realm of sentient beings. They abide in the realm of Buddhas without abandoning the realm of demons. They abide in the realm of nirvana without abandoning the realm of birth and death. They enter the realm of omniscience without putting an end to the realm of the nature of enlightening beings. They abide in the realm of tranquility and calm without abandoning the realm of distraction. They abide in the space-like realm where there is no coming or going, no conceptualization, no form, no essence, and no verbalization. Yet they do not abandon the realm of all sentient beings, conceptual representations. They dwell in the realm of occult powers and liberation, yet without abandoning the realm of specific locations. They enter the realm of ultimate non-existence of sentient beings, yet do not give up teaching all sentient beings. They dwell in the realm of meditation, liberation, spiritual powers, and higher knowledges, quiet and peaceful, yet they manifest birth in all worlds. They dwell in the realm of realization of true enlightenment, adorned by all the deeds of Buddhas, yet they manifest the composed, tranquil comportment of the personally liberated and individually illuminated. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of unimpeded function relating to knowledge: inexhaustible analytic powers, retention of all mnemonic concentration formulae, ability to know and explain with certainty the faculties of all sentient beings, instantly knowing by unhindered knowledge the actions of the minds of all sentient beings, knowing all sentient beings' inclinations, propensities, habits, and afflictions, and giving them remedies in accordance with their ailments. In a single moment, they are able to enter into the 10 powers of Buddhas. By unimpeded knowledge, they are able to know all ages of past, present, and future, and the sentient beings therein. Moment to moment, they manifest the attainment of enlightenment, showing it to sentient beings endlessly. They know the actions of all sentient beings in the thoughts of one sentient being, understand the language of all sentient beings in the words of one sentient being. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of unimpeded function relating to spiritual capacities. They show the bodies of all worlds in one body. In the audience of one Buddha, they hear the teachings spoken in the assemblies of all Buddhas. In the mind and thoughts of one sentient being, they accomplish inexpressible, unsurpassed enlightenment and open the minds of all sentient beings. With one voice they manifest the different sounds of speech of all worlds and enable sentient beings each to attain understanding. In a single moment they show the various differences in results of actions of all ages of the entire past, causing sentient beings all to know and see. They cause all worlds to be fully adorned. They penetrate all pasts, presents, and futures. They emanate the great light of truth and show the enlightenment of all Buddhas and the acts and aspirations of sentient beings. They protect all living beings, saints, individual illuminates, enlightening beings, the 10 powers of enlightenment they have, and the roots of goodness of enlightening beings. If enlightening beings attain these 10 unimpeded functions, they can penetrate all Buddha teachings. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of unimpeded functions of miraculous abilities. They place untold worlds in one atom. They manifest all Buddha lands, equal to the cosmos, in a single atom. They place the water of all oceans in one pore and travel throughout the universe, without the sentient beings therein being disturbed. They contain untold worlds within their own bodies, and manifest all spiritual powers. They tie up innumerable mountain chains with a single hair, and carry them through all worlds, without frightening sentient beings. They make untold ages one age, and make one age untold ages, showing therein the differences of formation and disintegration, without scaring sentient beings. In all worlds they show various changes and devastations by floods, congregations and gales, without troubling sentient beings. When such disasters arise, they can safeguard the necessities of life of all sentient beings in all worlds, not letting them be damaged or lost. They can hold inconceivably many worlds in one hand and toss them beyond untold worlds, without exciting fear in the sentient beings. They explain how all lands are the same as space, causing sentient beings all to gain understanding. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of unimpeded function of power. Unimpeded function of power relating to sentient beings, teaching and taming them without abandoning them. Of power relating to lands, manifesting untold adornments and arraying them. Of power relating to phenomena, causing all bodies to enter the bodiless. Of power relating to eons, cultivating practices unceasingly. Of the power of enlightenment, awakening those who are asleep. Of the power of action, including all practices of enlightening beings. Of the power of Buddhas, liberating all sentient beings. Teacherless power, spontaneously awakening to all truths. Of the power of omniscience, attaining true enlightenment by omniscience. Of the power of great compassion, not abandoning sentient beings. These are called the 10 unimpeded functions of enlightening beings. For those who attain them, being on the verge of attaining supreme perfect enlightenment or not attaining it is up to them and makes no difference. Though they attain enlightenment, they still do not stop carrying out the deeds of enlightening beings. Why? Because great enlightening beings vow to enter infinite doors of unimpeded function and manifest them skillfully, as is appropriate. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of versatility. They make the body of sentient beings the body of lands, without destroying the body of sentient beings. They make the body of lands the body of sentient beings, without destroying the body of lands. In the body of Buddha, they show the body of disciples and self-illumined ones, without diminishing the body of Buddha. In the body of disciples and self-illumined ones, they show the body of Buddha, without augmenting the body of disciples and self-illumined ones. In the body of practices of enlightening beings, they show the body of attainment of enlightenment, without cutting off the body of practices of enlightening beings. In the body of attainment of enlightenment, they manifest cultivation of the body of practices of enlightening beings, without diminishing the body of attainment of enlightenment. They show the body of birth and death in the realm of nirvana, without clinging to birth and death. They show nirvana in the realm of birth and death, yet without finally entering nirvana. They enter into concentration, yet manifest all ordinary action, without relinquishing the correct reception of concentration. In the presence of one Buddha, they hear and absorb the teaching, not moving physically, yet by the power of concentration appearing physically in the audiences of untold Buddhas, neither dividing their bodies nor rising from concentration, continuously hearing and absorbing the teachings. In this way, moment to moment, producing untold concentration bodies in each concentration body, going on this way, so that the ages of time may be exhausted, but the concentration bodies of enlightening beings are inexhaustible. Based on these 10 kinds of versatility, enlightening beings can attain the versatility of great knowledge of Buddhas. Great enlightening beings have 10 spheres, showing infinite ways of access to the realm of reality, so that sentient beings can enter, showing the infinite, wonderful arrays of all worlds, so that sentient beings can enter. Traveling by projection to the realms of all sentient beings to enlighten them by all appropriate means, producing embodiments of enlightening beings from the body of Buddha, producing embodiment of Buddha from the body of an enlightening being, manifesting the world in the realm of space, manifesting the realm of space in the world, manifesting the realm of nirvana in the realm of birth and death, manifesting the realm of birth and death in the realm of nirvana, producing verbalizations of all Buddha teachings in the language of one sentient being, showing all bodies as one body as all different bodies, filling all universes with one body, in one instant causing all sentient beings to rouse the will for enlightenment, each manifesting infinite bodies attaining enlightenment. These are the 10 spheres of enlightening beings. If they abide in them, they will attain the supreme sphere of great knowledge of Buddhas. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of power. The power of the profound mind, not getting mixed up in worldly feelings. The power of the overmastering profound mind, not giving up the ways of enlightenment. The power of means, consummating whatever they do. The power of knowledge, comprehending the activities of all minds. The power of vows, fulfilling all aspirations. The power of practice, continuing forever. The power of vehicles of liberation, able to produce all vehicles of liberation without abandoning the great universal vehicle. The power of miraculous transformations, showing all pure worlds and all Buddhas appearing in the worlds in each pore. The power of enlightenment, inspiring all sentient beings to seek enlightenment and become Buddhas without end. The power of turning the wheel of the teaching, explaining one expression of truth in accord with the faculties, temperaments, and inclinations of all sentient beings. Based on these 10 powers, enlightening beings can attain the Buddha's 10 powers of omniscience. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of fearlessness. They can remember all verbal explanations and think that even if infinite people should come from all over and ask about 100,000 great principles, they would see nothing difficult to answer about those questions. Because of this, their minds become fearless, and they ultimately reach the other shore of great fearlessness, able to answer any question and resolve doubts without any timidity. This is enlightening beings' first fearlessness. Great enlightening beings attain the unimpeded intellectual powers bestowed by Buddha and arrive at the furthest reaches of revelation of the secrets intimated by all speech and writing. They think that even if infinite people should come from the 10 directions and ask them about infinite doctrines, they would not see anything difficult to answer about those questions. Because of this, their minds become fearless, and they ultimately reach the other shore of great fearlessness. They are able to answer any question and resolve doubts without any timidity. This is enlightening beings' second fearlessness. Great enlightening beings know all things are empty and are without self or anything pertaining to self, without creation or creator, without knower, without life, without soul, without personality, detached from mind, body, sense, and sense experience. They forever leave all views, and their minds are like space. They reflect that they do not see sentient beings in any way harmful to them, in terms of physical, verbal, or mental action, because they do not see anything as having any essence at all. Therefore their minds become fearless, and they ultimately reach the other shore of great fearlessness. They are firm, stable and brave, impossible to discourage or break down. This is enlightening beings' third fearlessness. Great enlightening beings are protected and sustained by the power of Buddha. They live according to the conduct of Buddhas. Their action is truthful and never degenerates. They reflect that they do not see any conduct in themselves that would provoke the criticism of others. Therefore their minds become fearless, and they teach calmly among the masses. This is enlightening beings' fourth fearlessness. The physical, verbal, and mental actions of great enlightening beings are all pure, immaculate, harmonious, free from all evils. They reflect that they do not see any physical, verbal, or mental action in them that is blameworthy. Therefore their minds become fearless, and they are able to cause sentient beings to live by the teachings of Buddha. This is enlightening beings' fifth fearlessness. Great enlightening beings are always accompanied and guarded by powerful thunderbolt bearers, celestial rain spirits, demigods, celestial musicians, titans, Indra, Brahma, the world guardian gods, and so on. And all Buddhas watch over them heedfully. They reflect that they do not see that there are any demons, false teachers, or people with set views that can hinder their practice of the path of enlightening beings in any way. Therefore their minds become fearless, and they ultimately reach the other shore of great fearlessness. They become very joyful and carry out the deeds of enlightening beings. This is enlightening beings' sixth fearlessness. Great enlightening beings have developed the faculty of recollection and are free from forgetfulness, as approved by Buddhas. They reflect that they do not see any sign of forgetfulness of the ways of expressing the path of attainment of enlightenment as explained by the Buddhas. Therefore they become fearless in mind, absorb and hold all Buddha's true teachings, and carry out the practices of enlightening beings. This is enlightening beings' seventh fearlessness. Great enlightening beings have already attained knowledge and skill in means, and have consummated the powers of enlightening beings. They always strive to edify all sentient beings. Their aspiration is always focused on perfect enlightenment. Yet, because of compassion for sentient beings, to perfect sentient beings, they appear to be born in the polluted world of afflictions, noble, with a full retinue, able to satisfy all their desires at will, leading a pleasant and happy life. Yet they reflect that although they are together with their family and associates, they do not see anything to be attached to the extent of giving up their cultivation of the ways of enlightening beings, such as meditation, liberations, concentrations, mnemonic spells, and analytic and expository powers. Why? Because great enlightening beings are already free in the midst of all things, and have reached the other shore. They cultivate the practices of enlightening beings and vow never to stop. They do not see any object in the world that can disturb the path of the enlightening being. Because of this, their minds become fearless, and they ultimately reach the other shore of great fearlessness. By the power of great vows, they manifest birth in all worlds. This is enlightening beings' eighth fearlessness. Great enlightening beings never forget the determination for omniscience. Riding the great vehicle, they carry on the practices of enlightening beings. By the power of the great determination for omniscience, They demonstrate the tranquil comportment of all saints and individual illuminates. They reflect that they do not see in themselves any sign of needing to gain emancipation by means of the lesser vehicles of individual salvation. Because of this, their minds become fearless, and they ultimately reach the other shore of great fearlessness. While able to demonstrate to all the paths of all vehicles of liberation, they ultimately fulfill the impartial great vehicle of universal liberation. This is enlightening beings' ninth fearlessness. Great enlightening beings perfect all good and pure qualities, are imbued with virtue, fully develop spiritual powers, ultimately abide in the enlightenment of all Buddhas, fulfill all practices of enlightening beings, receive from the Buddhas the prediction of coronation with omniscience, and still always teach sentient beings, carrying on the path of enlightening beings. They reflect that they do not see any sign of even a single sentient being who can be developed to maturity, to whom they cannot show the masteries of Buddhas in order to develop them. Because of this, their minds become fearless, and they ultimately reach the other shore of great fearlessness. They do not stop the practices of enlightening beings, do not give up the vows of enlightening beings, and show the sphere of Buddhahood to any sentient beings who can learn, in order to teach and liberate them. This is enlightening beings' 10th fearlessness. These are the 10 fearlessnesses of enlightening beings. Based on these, enlightening beings can attain the supreme great fearlessness of Buddhas without giving up the fearlessness of enlightening beings. Great enlightening beings have 10 unique qualities. Without depending on the teaching of another, they spontaneously practice the 6 transcendent ways. They always gladly give generously and are not mean. They always keep pure precepts without transgression. They are full of patience and forbearance. Their minds imperturbable. They have great energy, never backsliding. They skillfully enter the various meditations, never distracted. They skillfully cultivate wisdom, getting rid of all wrong views. This is their first unique quality. Practicing the 6 transcendent ways according to the path of transcendence without being taught by another. Great enlightening beings are well able to take care of all sentient beings. That is to say, they practice charity, giving material goods as well as teaching. They are rightly heedful at all times. They are mild of countenance and friendly in speech. Their hearts are joyful as they point out what is true. They foster understanding of the enlightenment of Buddhas. Without aversion, they impartially benefit all. This is enlightening beings' second unique quality, striving to unite sentient beings according to the 4 integrative methods, without being taught by another. Great enlightening beings skillfully practice dedication, dedication without seeking resulting rewards, dedication in conformity with enlightenment, dedication unattached to any unworldly meditations or trances, dedication to benefiting all sentient beings, dedication to perpetuating the knowledge and wisdom of Buddhas. This is enlightening beings' third unique quality, developing roots of goodness and seeking enlightened knowledge and wisdom without relying on the teaching of another. Great enlightening beings arrive at consummate skill in means. They are always concerned with the welfare of all sentient beings. They do not reject the realm of common ignorance, do not seek individual escape, do not cling to their own happiness. They only strive to edify and liberate others. They are able to enter and exit meditations and liberations, and have attained mastery of all concentrations. They come and go in birth and death, as though roaming through a park, never getting sick of it. They may live in the palace of demons, or may be celestial beings. They manifest their bodies in all realms of life. They may become mendicants in non-Buddhistic groups, yet they always avoid all false views. They display all secular literature, incantational arts, writing and mathematics, and even entertaining song and dance, being highly skilled in all of these. They may appear as beautiful women, intelligent and talented, foremost in the world. They are able to ask about and to answer about all mundane and transmundane principles, able to ultimately resolve all doubts. They also comprehend all mundane and transmundane phenomena to the ultimate degree. All sentient beings look up to them. Though they manifest the behavior of mendicants and individual illuminates, still they do not lose the mind of the great vehicle. Though they show attainment of true enlightenment moment to moment, still they do not stop the practice of enlightening beings. This is their fourth unique quality, the ultimate consummation of skill in means, without relying on the teaching of another. Great enlightening beings know well the path of simultaneous practice of the provisional and the true. Their intellect is free, and they reach the other shore. That is to say, they abide in nirvana, yet give the appearance of birth and death. They know there are no sentient beings, yet they diligently carry out teaching activities. They are ultimately calm and dispassionate, yet they appear to have afflictions. They abide in the one indestructible mystery. Mystic reality, body of wisdom, yet they manifest infinite bodies of sentient beings everywhere. They always enter meditative concentration, yet they give the appearance of experiencing sensual pleasure. They are always aloof from the triple world, yet they do not abandon sentient beings. They always enjoy the pleasures of spirituality, yet they appear to have concubines who sing and play. Though their bodies are arrayed with a multitude of marks and embellishments of greatness, yet they appear as ugly derelicts. They always accumulate virtues and are free from faults, yet they manifest birth in hells or as animals and hungry ghosts. Though they have arrived at the furthest reaches of Buddha knowledge, they do not abandon the body of knowledge of enlightening beings. Even saints and solitary illuminates cannot know such infinite knowledge and wisdom developed by great enlightening beings. How much less can infantile sentient beings? This is enlightening beings' fifth unique quality, the simultaneous practice of the provisional and the true without being taught by another. Great enlightening beings' physical, verbal, and mental actions are carried out in accord with knowledge and wisdom and are all pure. That is to say, they are imbued with great compassion and forever abandon malice. They are imbued with true understanding and have no false views. This is enlightening beings' sixth unique quality, of physical, verbal, and mental action in accord with knowledge and wisdom without depending on the teaching of another. Great enlightening beings are full of great compassion and do not abandon sentient beings. They accept suffering in place of all sentient beings, the sufferings of hell, the sufferings of animals, the sufferings of hungry ghosts. They do this in order to help, and do not become weary. They are only devoted to liberating all sentient beings. They never become addicted to objects of desire. they always diligently work to extirpate suffering for sentient beings. This is enlightening beings' seventh unique quality, always exercising great compassion without depending on the instruction of another. All beings like to see enlightening beings and never tire of seeing them, because great enlightening beings have for ages been pure indeed, without fault. This is enlightening beings' eighth unique quality, being a welcome sight to all sentient beings, without depending on the instruction of another. Great enlightening beings' determination, the adornment of the great commitment to omniscience, is unbending. Though they be in dangerous, difficult places, among ordinary people, Buddhist disciples, or self-enlightened people, they never lose the clear, pure, wonderful jewel of the determination for omniscience. Just as there is a jewel called pure adornment, whose luster does not change when it is put in mire, and which can clarify muddy water. In the same way, great enlightening beings, even though they be in places of confusion and pollution, among fools, they never lose or spoil the pure jewel mind seeking omniscience. They can even cause those evil sentient beings to get rid of erroneous views, afflictions, and defilements, and gain the pure mind jewel seeking omniscience. This is enlightening beings' ninth unique quality, not losing the precious will for omniscience, even though in difficult situations, even without the instruction of another. Great enlightening beings achieve the knowledge of the realm of self-awakening and become enlightened spontaneously without a teacher. Ultimately free, they arrive at the other shore. The turban of the state of freedom from defilement crowns their heads. Still, they do not give up association with the wise and always gladly honor the Buddhas. This is enlightening beings' 10th unique quality, attaining the supreme state without abandoning the wise or giving up honoring Buddhas, without depending on the teaching of another. These are the 10 unique qualities of enlightening beings, based on which they can attain the Buddha's supreme, grandiose, unique qualities. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of activity. Activity related to all worlds, able to purify them all. Activity related to all Buddhas, able to provide offerings to them all. Activity related to all enlightening beings, planting the same roots of goodness. Activity relating to all sentient beings, able to teach and transform them all. Activity relating to the future, able to take in the whole future activity of all spiritual powers. Able to reach all worlds without leaving one world. Activity of all light, emanating lights of infinite colors, with an enlightening being sitting on a lotus seat, appearing in each light beam. Activity perpetuating the lineage of the three treasures, preserving and sustaining the Buddha's teachings after the demise of the Buddhas. Activity of all miraculous transformations, expounding the truth and teaching the sentient beings in all worlds. Activity of all empowerments, instantly appearing to sentient beings according to their mental inclinations, causing all aspirations to be fulfilled. Based on these 10 kinds of activity, enlightening beings can achieve the supremely great activity of Buddhas. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of body. The non-coming body, not being born in any world. The non-going body, impossible to find in any world. The non-real body, realizing all worlds as they really are. The non-false body, showing the world the truth. the inexhaustible body, never being annihilated, the stable body, impossible for demons to destroy, the imperturbable body, impossible for demons and false teachers to disturb, the formal body, manifesting pure marks of virtue, the formless body, the forms of all things being ultimately formless, the omnipresent body, being the same one body as all Buddhas of all times. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of physical action: filling all worlds with one body, ability to appear before all sentient beings, ability to undertake birth in all states of being, traveling in all worlds, going to the assemblies of all Buddhas, ability to cover all worlds with one hand, ability to grind the iron surrounding mountains of all worlds to dust with one hand, manifesting the formation and disintegration of all Buddha lands in one's own body to show sentient beings, admitting all realms of sentient beings into one body, in one's own body manifesting all pure Buddha lands, with all sentient beings attaining enlightenment therein. Based on these 10, enlightening beings can attain the supreme action of Buddhas and be able to enlighten all sentient beings. Great enlightening beings also have 10 more kinds of body. The body of transcendent ways, due to correctly practicing them all. The body of the 4 integrative methods, due to not abandoning sentient beings. The body of great compassion, due to accepting immeasurable suffering in place of all sentient beings without wearying. The body of great benevolence, due to saving all sentient beings. The body of blessings and virtue, due to benefiting all sentient beings. The body of wisdom, being of the same one nature as the bodies of all Buddhas. The body of reality, being forever free from undergoing birth in conditioned states. The body of expedient means, appearing in all places. The body of spiritual powers, manifesting all mystic transformations. The body of enlightenment, achieving true awareness at any time, as desired. Based on these, enlightening beings attain the supreme body of wisdom of Buddhas. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of speech. Gentle speech, causing all sentient beings to be calm. Sweet elixir speech, causing all sentient beings to be clear and cool. Non-deceptive speech, everything they say being true. Truthful speech, not lying even in dreams. Great speech, being honored by all the gods. Profound speech, revealing the essence of things. Steadfast speech, expounding truth inexhaustibly. Straightforward speech, their statements being easy to understand. Various speech, being spoken according to the occasion. Speech enlightening all sentient beings, enabling them to understand according to their inclinations. Based on these, enlightening beings attain the supreme subtle speech of Buddhas. Great enlightening beings have 10 ways of purifying speech. Joyfully listening to the voice of Buddhas. Joyfully listening to explanations of the virtues of enlightening beings. Not saying anything unpleasant to sentient beings. Truly avoiding all faults of speech. Joyfully praising the enlightened. Singing the praises of Buddhas aloud at the monuments of deceased Buddhas. Giving teachings to sentient beings with a profound, pure mind. Praising Buddha with music and song. Listening to the true teaching without worrying about one's body or life. Giving oneself up to serve all enlightening beings and teachers of truth, and receiving the sublime teaching from them. Based on these 10 things which purify speech, great enlightening beings gain 10 kinds of protection. They are protected by all celestial beings, by all Nagas, all Yakshas, all Gandharvas, all Titans, all Garudas, all Kinnaras, all Maharagas, all Brahmas, and all teachers of truth, beginning with the Buddhas. Having received this protection, great enlightening beings are able to accomplish 10 great works: gladdening all sentient beings, going to all worlds, knowing all faculties, purifying all devotions, exterminating all afflictions, getting rid of all habit energy, purifying all inclinations, increasing all profound determinations, causing all to pervade all universes, causing all nirvanas to be clearly seen. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of mind: a mind like the earth, able to hold the roots of goodness of all sentient beings and make them grow; a mind like the ocean, with the water of truth of infinite great knowledge of all Buddhas all flowing into it; a mind like the polar mountain, placing all sentient beings on the supreme transmundane foundations of goodness; a mind like the finest jewel, their desires being pure and unpolluted; a mind like diamond, deeply penetrating all truths with certainty; a mind like the adamantine world surrounding mountains, being invulnerable to disturbance by any demons or false teachers; a mind like a lotus blossom, which worldly things cannot affect; a mind like an udumbara flower, difficult to encounter through all time; a mind like the clear sun, destroying the darkness; a mind like space, being immeasurable. Based on these, enlightening beings can attain the supreme pure mind of Buddhas. Great enlightening beings have 10 determinations: to liberate all beings, to cause all beings to get rid of their afflictions, to cause all sentient beings to extinguish their habit energies, to eliminate all doubts, to remove all sentient beings' miseries, to extirpate the difficulties of the states of woe, to respectfully follow all Buddhas, to study what all enlightening beings should learn, to show the enlightenment of all Buddhas at each point in all worlds, to beat the drum of the highest teaching in all worlds, to cause all sentient beings to gain understanding in accord with their faculties and inclinations. Based on these, enlightening beings can attain Buddha's mind of great determination and competence. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of comprehensive mind: a mind comprehending all spaces, their intentions far-reaching; a mind comprehending all realms of reality, deeply penetrating infinity; a mind comprehending all past, present, and future, knowing them all in a single thought; a mind comprehending the manifestation of all Buddhas, clearly understanding their entry into the womb, birth, leaving home, attainment of enlightenment, teaching activity, and ultimate nirvana; a mind comprehending all sentient beings, knowing their faculties, inclinations, and habit energies; a mind comprehending all knowledge, knowing the realms of reality everywhere; a mind comprehending all infinities, knowing the differentiations of the networks of illusions; a mind comprehending all non-origination, not apprehending any intrinsic nature in anything; a mind comprehending all non-obstruction, not dwelling on the mind of self or the mind of another; a mind comprehending all freedoms, manifesting realization of Buddhahood everywhere in a single instant. Based on these, enlightening beings can attain the comprehensive adornments of supreme Buddhahood. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of faculties: joyful faculties, seeing all Buddhas with faith indestructible, hopeful faculties, understanding whatever Buddha teachings they hear, non-regressing faculties, consummating all their tasks, steadfast faculties, not stopping the practices of enlightening beings, subtle faculties, entering the subtle principle of transcendent wisdom, unceasing faculties, consummating the tasks of all sentient beings, adamantine faculties, realizing the nature of all things, indestructible glowing faculties, illumining all spheres of Buddhahood, undifferentiated faculties, being the same one body as all Buddhas, unobstructed faculties, deeply penetrating the 10 powers of the enlightened. Based on these, enlightening beings can attain the supreme faculties of fulfillment of great knowledge of Buddhas. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of profound mind. A profound mind not stained by any worldly things. A profound mind not alloyed with the ways of the lesser vehicles of individual salvation. A profound mind comprehending the enlightenment of all Buddhas of past, present, and future. A profound mind following the path of omniscience. A profound mind unmoved by any demons or heretics. A profound mind clarifying the comprehensive knowledge of all enlightened ones. A profound mind accepting and holding all truths heard. A profound mind not clinging to any state of life. A profound mind imbued with all subtle knowledge. A profound mind cultivating all qualities of Buddhahood. Based on these, enlightening beings can attain the supreme, pure, profound mind of omniscience. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of intense, profound mind. An intense, profound mind not backsliding, because they accumulate all roots of goodness. An intense, profound mind removing doubt, because they understand the esoteric sayings of all Buddhas. An intense, profound mind holding truth, being born by great vows and great deeds. A supremely intense, profound mind, deeply penetrating all Buddha teachings. A masterful, intense, profound mind, mastering all Buddha teachings. A vast, intense, profound mind, entering into various ways of access to truth. A leading, intense, profound mind, accomplishing all tasks. A free, intense, profound mind, adorned by all concentrations, spiritual powers, and mystical transformations. An abiding, intense, profound mind, embracing their past vows. An unceasing, intense, profound mind, developing all sentient beings to maturity. Based on these, enlightening beings can attain the supremely pure, intense, profound mind of all Buddhas. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of diligent practice. Diligent practice of giving, relinquishing all without seeking reward. Diligent practice of self-control, practicing austerities, having few desires, and being content. Diligent practice of forbearance, detaching from notions of self and other. Tolerating all evils without anger or malice. Diligent practice of vigor, their thoughts, words, and deeds never confused, not regressing in what they do, reaching the ultimate end. Diligent practice of meditations, liberations, and concentrations, discovering spiritual powers, leaving behind all desires, afflictions, contention, and their congeners. Diligent practice of wisdom, tirelessly cultivating and accumulating virtues. Diligent practice of great benevolence, knowing that all sentient beings have no nature of their own. diligent practice of great compassion, knowing that all things are empty, accepting suffering in place of all sentient beings without wearying, diligent practice to awaken the 10 powers of enlightenment, realizing them without obstruction, manifesting them for sentient beings, diligent practice of the non-receding wheel of teaching, proceeding to reach all sentient beings. Based on these 10, enlightening beings can attain the supreme practice of great knowledge and wisdom of Buddhas. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of certain understanding. Certain understanding of the supreme planting roots of goodness of respect. Certain understanding of adornment, producing various adornments. Certain understanding of breadth and magnanimity, their minds never narrow or mean. Certain understanding of quiescence, able to penetrate the most profound essence of things. Certain understanding of universality, their determination for enlightenment extending everywhere. Certain understanding of capacity, able to receive the support of the power of Buddha. Certain understanding of strength, able to crush all demon activities. Certain understanding of clear decision, knowing the consequences of all actions. Certain understanding of presence, able to manifest spiritual powers at will. Certain understanding of succession, receiving the prediction of Buddhahood from all Buddhas. Certain understanding of freedom, attaining Buddhahood at will at any time. Based on these, enlightening beings can attain the supreme certain understanding of Buddhas. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of definitive understanding of worlds. They know all worlds penetrate one world. They know one world penetrates all worlds. They know the body and lotus throne of one Buddha pervades all worlds. They know all worlds are like space. They know all worlds are endowed with the adornments of Buddhas. They know all worlds are filled with enlightening beings. They know all worlds enter one pore. They know all worlds enter the body of a single sentient being. They know the enlightenment tree and sight of enlightenment of one Buddha pervade all worlds. They know all worlds are pervaded by one message that allows sentient beings to hear it differently, to their delight. Based on these, enlightening beings can attain Buddha's supreme great understanding of Buddhalands. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of certain understanding of the realm of sentient beings. They know that all realms of sentient beings essentially have no reality. They know that all realms of sentient beings enter the body of one sentient being. They know that all realms of sentient beings enter the body of an enlightening being. They know that all realms of sentient beings enter the matrix of enlightenment. They know the body of one sentient being enters all realms of sentient beings. They know that all realms of sentient beings can be vessels of the Buddha's teachings. They know all realms of sentient beings and manifest the bodies of celestial beings for them according to their desires. They know all realms of sentient beings and manifest the tranquil, composed behavior of saints and individual illuminates for them, according to their inclinations. They know all realms of sentient beings and manifest to them the bodies of enlightening beings adorned with virtues. They know all realms of sentient beings and show them the marks and embellishments and the tranquil comportment of Buddhas, and enlighten sentient beings. Based on these 10, enlightening beings can attain the supremely powerful certain understanding of Buddhas. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of habit energy. The habit energy of determination for enlightenment, the habit energy of roots of goodness, the habit energy of edifying sentient beings, the habit energy of seeking Buddha, of seeing Buddha, the habit energy of undertaking birth in pure worlds, the habit energy of enlightening practice, the habit energy of vows, the habit energy of transcendence, the habit energy of meditation on equality, the habit energy of various differentiations of state. Based on these, enlightening beings can forever get rid of all afflictive habit energies and attain Buddha's habit energy of great knowledge, the knowledge that is not energized by habit. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of grasping, by which they perpetuate the practices of enlightening beings. They grasp all realms of sentient beings to ultimately enlighten them. They grasp all worlds to ultimately purify them. They grasp Buddha, cultivating the practices of enlightening beings as offerings. They grasp roots of goodness, accumulating the virtues that mark and embellish the Buddhas. They grasp great compassion, to extinguish the pains of all sentient beings. They grasp great benevolence, to bestow on all beings the happiness of omniscience. They grasp the transcendent ways, to accumulate the adornments of enlightening beings. They grasp skill in means, to demonstrate them everywhere. They grasp enlightenment, to attain unobstructed knowledge. In sum, enlightening beings grasp all things, to comprehend them everywhere with clear knowledge. Based on these, enlightening beings can perpetuate the practices of enlightening beings and attain the Buddha's supreme state of not grasping anything. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of cultivation. They cultivate the ways of transcendence, learning, wisdom, purpose, righteousness, emancipation, manifestation, diligence, accomplishment of true awakening, and operation of right teaching. Based on these, enlightening beings achieve supreme cultivation and practice all truths. Great enlightening beings have 10 ways of fulfillment of the Buddha teachings: not leaving wise associates, deeply believing in the words of Buddhas, not repudiating truth, dedicating unlimited roots of goodness, focusing on the infinity of the sphere of Buddha, knowing the realms of all worlds, not abandoning the realm of cosmic reality, avoiding all realms of demons, correctly recollecting the realm of all Buddhas, seeking the realm of the 10 powers of Buddhas. Based on these, enlightening beings can achieve the supreme great wisdom of Buddhas. There are 10 things that cause enlightening beings to regress from the Buddha teachings, which they should avoid: slighting the wise, fearing the pains of birth and death, getting tired of practicing the acts of enlightening beings, not caring to remain in the world, addiction to concentration, clinging to roots of goodness, liking the ways of individual liberation, having aversion to enlightening beings. If enlightening beings avoid these 10 things, they will enter the enlightening beings' paths of emancipation. Great enlightening beings have 10 paths of emancipation: evoking transcendent wisdom, yet always observing all sentient beings; detaching from all views, yet liberating all sentient beings bound by views; not minding any appearances, yet not abandoning sentient beings attached to appearances; transcending the triple world, yet always being in all worlds; forever leaving afflictions, yet living together with all sentient beings; attaining desirelessness, yet always most compassionately pitying all sentient beings attached to desires; always enjoying tranquility and serenity, yet always appearing to be in company. Being free from birth in the world, yet dying in one place and being reborn in another, carrying on the activities of enlightening beings, not being affected by any worldly things, yet not stopping work in the world, actually realizing full enlightenment, yet not abandoning the vows and practices of enlightening beings. These are enlightening beings' 10 ways of emancipation, which are not common to worldlings, and also are not alloyed with the practices of the 2 vehicles of individual liberation. If enlightening beings live by these principles, they will attain the qualities of certainty of enlightening beings. Great enlightening beings have 10 qualities of certainty. They are certainly born in the family of Buddhas. They certainly live in the realm of Buddhas. They certainly know the tasks of enlightening beings. They certainly persist in the transcendent ways. They certainly get to join the assemblies of Buddhas. They certainly can reveal the nature of Buddhahood. They certainly abide in the powers of the enlightened. They certainly enter the enlightenment of Buddhas. They certainly are one and the same body as all Buddhas. Their abode is certainly none other than that of all Buddhas. Great enlightening beings have 10 ways of generating the qualities of Buddhahood. Following good friends is a way of generating qualities of Buddhahood because they plant roots of goodness together. Profound devotion is a way of generating qualities of Buddhahood because they know the masteries of Buddhas. Making great vows is a way of generating qualities of Buddhahood because their minds become broad. Recognizing their own roots of goodness is a way of generating qualities of Buddhahood because they know their action is not wrong. Tirelessly cultivating practice in all ages is a way of generating qualities of Buddhahood because it comprehends the future. Appearing in countless worlds is a way of generating qualities of Buddhahood by maturing sentient beings. And not stopping the practices of enlightening beings is a way of generating qualities of Buddhahood by increasing great compassion. Infinite awareness is a way of generating qualities of Buddhahood by pervading all of space in a single moment of thought. Excellent action is a way of generating qualities of Buddhahood because what has been put into practice is not lost. The potential of enlightenment is a way of generating qualities of Buddhahood, causing all sentient beings to gladly set their minds on enlightenment and sustain this will by all virtues. Based on these, enlightening beings gain 10 appellations of greatness. Great enlightening beings have 10 appellations of greatness. They are called beings of enlightenment because they are born of knowledge of enlightenment. They are called great beings because they dwell in the great vehicle. They are called foremost beings because they realize the foremost truth. They are called superior beings because they are aware of higher laws. They are called supreme beings because their knowledge is supreme. They are called exalted beings because they reveal the unexcelled teaching. They are called beings of power because they have extensive knowledge of the 10 powers. They are called incomparable beings because they have no peer in the world. They are called inconceivable beings because they become Buddhas in an instant. If enlightening beings win these appellations, they accomplish the paths of enlightening beings. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of path. One path is a path of enlightening beings because they do not give up the sole determination for enlightenment. 2 paths are a path of enlightening beings because they develop wisdom and skill in means. 3 paths are a path of enlightening beings because they practice emptiness, signlessness, and wishlessness, and are not attached to the 3 worlds. 4 practices are a path of enlightening beings, ceaselessly removing the barriers of wrongdoing by repentance, rejoicing in virtue, honoring the enlightened and requesting them to teach, and skillfully practicing dedication. The 5 faculties are a path of enlightening beings. They rest on pure faith, steadfast and imperturbable. They generate great energy, finishing their tasks. They are single-minded in right recollection, without wandering attention. They know the techniques for entering and emerging from concentration. They are able to distinguish spheres of knowledge. The 6 psychic powers are a path of enlightening beings. With the celestial eye, they see all forms in all worlds, and know where sentient beings die and are born. With the celestial ear, they hear all Buddha's teaching, absorb and remember their teachings, and expound them widely to sentient beings according to their faculties. With telepathic knowledge, they are able to know the minds of others freely. Without interference, with recollections of past life, they are able to remember all ages of the past and increase roots of goodness. With the power of psychic travel, they are able to appear variously to beings capable of being enlightened, to induce them to delight in truth. With knowledge of extinction of contamination, they actually realize the ultimate truth, while carrying out the deeds of enlightening beings without cease. 7 remembrances are a path of enlightening beings. They remember Buddhas because they see infinite Buddhas in a single pore, opening the minds of all sentient beings. They remember the teaching because they do not leave the assemblies of all Buddhas. They personally receive the sublime teaching in the assemblies of all Buddhas and expound it to sentient beings according to their faculties, temperaments, and inclinations. To enlighten them. They remember the harmonious community because they continually see enlightening beings in all worlds. They remember relinquishment because they know all enlightening beings' practices of relinquishment increase magnanimous generosity. They remember the precepts because they do not give up aspiration for enlightenment and dedicate all roots of goodness to sentient beings. They remember heaven because they always keep in mind the enlightening beings in the heaven of happiness who are to become Buddhas in the next lifetime. They remember sentient beings because they teach and tame them with wisdom and skill in means, reaching them all without interruption. Following the holy eightfold path to enlightenment is a path of enlightening beings. They travel the path of right insight, getting rid of all false views. They exercise right thought, abandoning arbitrary conceptions, their mind always following universal knowledge. They always practice right speech, getting rid of faults of speech and following the words of sages. They always cultivate right action, teaching sentient beings to make them peaceful and harmonious. They abide by right livelihood, being frugal and content, careful and correct in behavior, eating, dressing, sleeping, eliminating evil, and practicing good. All in accord with enlightenment, forever getting rid of all faults. They arouse right energy, diligently cultivating all the difficult practices of enlightening beings, entertaining the 10 powers of Buddhas without hindrance. Their minds always recollect correctly, able to remember all messages, eliminating all mundane distraction. Their minds are always correctly concentrated. They enter the door of inconceivable liberation of enlightening beings, and in one concentration they produce all concentrations. Entering the 9 successive concentrations is a path of enlightening beings. They detach from craving and ill will, and expound the truth without inhibition in all they say. They extinguish thought and reflection, yet teach sentient beings with the thought and reflection of omniscience. They give up joy and emotion, yet they are most joyful when they see all Buddhas. They give up worldly enjoyments and follow the transcendent enjoyment of the path of enlightening beings. Henceforth they are unshakable and enter formless concentration, yet without abandoning life in the realms of desire and form. Though they abide in concentration, in which all perception and sensation are extinguished, they do not stop the activity of enlightening beings. Learning the 10 powers is a path of enlightening beings. Knowledge of what is so and what is not so. Knowledge of the causes and effects, deeds and consequences, past, future, and present, of all sentient beings. Knowledge of the differences in faculties of all sentient beings and explaining the truth to them as is appropriate. Knowledge of the infinite different natures of sentient beings. Knowledge of the differences in weak, middling, and superior understanding of all sentient beings, and means of introducing them to truth. Knowledge of manifesting the appearance and conduct of Buddha throughout all worlds, all lands, all times, all ages, without abandoning the practices of enlightening beings. Knowledge of all meditations, liberations, and concentrations, whether defiled or pure, timely or not, expediently producing doors of liberation for enlightening beings. Knowledge of distinctions in all sentient beings, death in one place and birth in another, in the various states of existence. Instantaneous knowledges of all ages in past, present, and future. Knowledge of extinction of all sentient beings' desires, compulsions, delusions, and habits, without abandoning the practices of enlightening beings. Based on these 10 paths, enlightening beings can attain the path of unexcelled skill in means of all Buddhas. Great enlightening beings have infinite paths, infinite aids to enlightenment, infinite ways of cultivation, and infinite ways of adornment. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of infinite path. Because space is infinite, so are the paths of enlightening beings. Because the cosmos is infinite, so are the paths of enlightening beings. Because the realms of sentient beings are infinite, so are the paths of enlightening beings. Because the worlds are infinite, so are the paths of enlightening beings. Because time is infinite, so are the paths of enlightening beings. Because the languages of all sentient beings are infinite, so are the paths of enlightening beings. Because the embodiments of Buddha are infinite, so are the paths of enlightening beings. Because the utterances of Buddha are infinite, so are the paths of enlightening beings. Because the power of Buddha is infinite, so are the paths of enlightening beings. Because omniscience is infinite, so are the paths of enlightening beings. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of infinite aids to enlightenment. As space is infinite, so is enlightening beings' development of aids to enlightenment. As the cosmos is infinite, so is enlightening beings' development of aids to enlightenment. As the realms of sentient beings are infinite, so is enlightening beings' development of aids to enlightenment. As worlds are infinite, so is enlightening beings' development of aids to enlightenment. As the number of eons can never be fully told, so too all worldlings cannot fully tell of enlightening beings' development of aids to enlightenment. As the languages of sentient beings are infinite, so is enlightening beings' development of aids to enlightenment, producing knowledge to comprehend ways of speaking. As the embodiment of Buddha is infinite, so is enlightening beings' development of aids to enlightenment, extending to all sentient beings, all lands, all worlds, and all times. As the utterances of Buddha are infinite, enlightening beings utter one word pervading the cosmos, heard by all sentient beings. So the aids to enlightenment they develop also are infinite. As the power of Buddha is infinite, the aids to enlightenment accumulated by enlightening beings through the power of Buddha are infinite too. Based on these factors, enlightening beings can attain the infinite knowledge of Buddhas. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of infinite ways of cultivation. Cultivation without coming or going, because their physical, verbal, and mental doings have no action. Neither existent nor non-existent cultivation, there being no inherent nature. Cultivation without increase or decrease, being in accord with fundamental essence. Cultivation like an illusion, a dream, a shadow, an echo, an image in a mirror, a mirage in the heat, the moon's image in the water, being free from all clinging, empty, signless, wishless, non-doing cultivation, clearly seeing the triple world, yet ceaselessly accumulating virtues, inexplicable, inexpressible cultivation beyond speech, apart from all definitions and constructions. Cultivation of the indestructible realm of reality, directly knowing all phenomena. Cultivation of the ultimate reality of true thusness, entering the space of ultimate reality of true thusness. Cultivation of vast wisdom, the power of their deeds being inexhaustible. Equal cultivation of the 10 powers. 4 fearlessnesses, and omniscience of Buddhas, directly seeing all things without doubt or confusion. Based on these 10 elements, enlightening beings can accomplish the supremely skillful cultivation of omniscience of Buddhas. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of ways of adornment. Without leaving the realm of desire, they enter the meditations, liberations, and trances of the realm of form and formlessness, yet they are not thereby born in those realms. This is their first way of adornment. Their knowledge appears to enter the path of personally liberated saints, yet they do not take emancipation by this route. This is their second way of adornment. Their knowledge appears to enter the path of individual illumination, yet they do not cease to generate great compassion. This is their third way of adornment. Though they have human and celestial retinues surrounding them, hundreds and thousands of concubines and troops of singers and dancers, they never for a moment leave meditation, liberation, and concentration. This is their fourth way of adornment. They take part in amusements and experience pleasure and happiness with all sentient beings, but they never for a moment leave the concentration of equanimity of enlightening beings. This is their fifth way of adornment. They have already transcended all worlds and have no attachments to anything. Yet they do not abandon efforts to liberate sentient beings. This is their sixth way of adornment. They live by the right path, right knowledge, and right insight, yet they can appear to enter false paths without taking them to be true or pure, to cause the sentient beings involved in them to abandon false principles. This is their seventh way of adornment. They always maintain the Buddha's pure precepts, and their thoughts, words, and deeds are faultless. but because they want to edify immoral sentient beings, they appear to perform the acts of ordinary ignorant people. Though they are already filled with pure virtues and abide in the course of enlightening beings, yet they appear to live in such realms as hells, animality, ghosthood, and in difficulty and poverty, in order to enable the beings therein to gain liberation. Really, the enlightening beings are not born in those states. This is their 8th way of adornment. Without being taught by another, they attain unhindered intellect and the light of knowledge, are able to illumine and understand all Buddha teachings, are sustained by the spiritual power of all Buddhas, are one and the same body of reality with all Buddhas, accomplish all incorruptible mystic states of clarity and purity of great people, abide in all equal vehicles of liberation, are aware of all spheres of Buddhahood, are endowed with the light of all worldly knowledge, and clearly see all realms of sentient beings. They are able to be truth-knowing teachers for sentient beings, yet they make the appearance of ceaseless search for truth. Though they actually are unexcelled teachers of sentient beings, they show respect to preceptors and religious mentors. Because great enlightening beings by skillful expedients abide in the path of enlightening beings, yet manifest whatever is necessary, this is their 9th way of adornment. Their roots of goodness are sufficient, their practices are completed, they are coronated by all Buddhas together, and reach the furthest extent of mastery of all the teachings, their heads crowned with the turban of the state of non-obstruction. Their bodies reach all worlds, and everywhere they show the body of Buddha that has no resistance. Masters of the teachings, they attain supreme fulfillment and turn the unimpeded pure wheel of teaching. They have already accomplished all manner of freedom of enlightening beings, but for the sake of sentient beings they appear to be born in all lands. They are in the same realm as all Buddhas, yet they do not abandon the practices of enlightening beings, do not give up the principles of enlightening beings, do not neglect the works of enlightening beings, do not leave the path of enlightening beings, do not slacken the conduct of enlightening beings, do not cut off the graspings of enlightening beings, do not cease the skillful methods of enlightening beings, do not stop doing the tasks of enlightening beings, do not tire of the developmental activities of enlightening beings, do not put an end to the sustaining power of enlightening beings. Why? Because enlightening beings want to quickly realize unexcelled, complete, perfect enlightenment. So they examine the ways of access to omniscience and cultivate the practices of enlightening beings unceasingly. This is their 10th way of adornment. Based on these principles, enlightening beings can attain the supreme way of great adornment of Buddhas. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of feet. The feet of discipline, fulfilling all higher aspirations. The feet of energy, assembling all elements of enlightenment without regressing. The feet of spiritual knowledge, gladdening all sentient beings according to their desires. The feet of psychic powers, going to all Buddha lands without leaving one Buddha land. The feet of determination, seeking all higher laws. The feet of resolute commitment, fulfilling all their tasks. The feet of accord, not opposing the teachings of all the honorable. The feet of delight in truth, tirelessly hearing and holding all teachings spoken by Buddhas. The feet of reign of teaching, lecturing to the masses without timidity. The feet of cultivation, getting rid of all evils. Based on these, enlightening beings can attain the supreme feet of Buddhas, which can reach all worlds in one step. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of hands. Hands of deep faith, wholeheartedly accepting and ultimately taking up the teachings of Buddhas. Hands of giving, satisfying all those who seek, according to their desires. Hands of initiating greetings, extending their right palm to welcome and lead. Hands of honoring Buddhas, tirelessly gathering blessings and virtues. Hands of learning and skillfulness, cutting off the doubts of all sentient beings. Hands of fostering transcendence of the triple world, extending them to sentient beings, and extricating them from the mire of craving. Hands of settlement on the other shore, saving drowning sentient beings from the 4 torrents. Hands of generosity with right teaching, revealing all sublime principles. Hands of skillful use of philosophies, quelling diseases of body and mind with the medicine of knowledge and wisdom. Hands always holding jewels of knowledge, unfolding the light of truth to obliterate the darkness of afflictions. These are the 10. Based on these, enlightening beings can acquire the supreme hands of Buddhas, covering all worlds in the 10 directions. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of guts. Guts free from deception, their hearts being pure. Guts free from falsehood, being honest by nature. Non-prevaricating guts, having no crookedness. Non-swindling guts, having no greed for anything. Guts cutting off afflictions, being full of wisdom. Pure-minded guts, being free from all evils. Guts examining food and drink. Remembering reality. Guts observing non-creation, being aware of interdependent origination. Guts aware of all ways of emancipation, fully developing the will. Guts rid of the defilement of all extreme views, enabling all sentient beings to enter into the guts of Buddha. These are the 10. Based on these, enlightening beings can acquire the supreme vast guts of Buddhas, able to contain all sentient beings. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of internal organs. Perpetuating the seed of Buddhas is an organ of enlightening beings, manifesting the immeasurable spiritual power of the Buddha teaching. Causing the seed of the teaching to grow is an organ of enlightening beings, generating the immense light of knowledge. Preserving the seed of the spiritual community is an organ of enlightening beings, enabling them to gain access to the irreversible wheel of teaching. Awakening those who are rightly stabilized is an organ of enlightening beings, instantly adapting to the time. Fully developing unstable sentient beings is an organ of enlightening beings, producing continuity of causal basis. Conceiving compassion for wrongly stabilized sentient beings is an organ of enlightening beings, causing thorough development of causal basis for the future. Fulfilling the indestructible bases of the 10 powers of Buddhas is an organ of enlightening beings, with unopposable roots of goodness that conquer the armies of demons. The supremely fearless lion's roar is an organ of enlightening beings, gladdening all sentient beings. Attaining the 18 unique qualities of Buddhas is an organ of enlightening beings, with knowledge penetrating everywhere. Knowing all sentient beings, all lands, all things, and all Buddhas is an organ of enlightening beings, clearly seeing all in a single instant. These are the 10. Based on these, enlightening beings can attain the indestructible internal organs of great knowledge with supreme virtues of Buddhas. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of heart, a heart of diligence, fulfilling all tasks, a heart of perseverance, accumulating, embellishing virtuous practices, a heart of great courage and strength, crushing all armies of demons, a heart acting according to truth, extinguishing all afflictions, a heart of non-regression, never ceasing until enlightenment is reached, a heart of inherent purity, knowing the mind is immovable, not having any attachments, a heart of knowledge of sentient beings, adapting to their understandings and inclinations to emancipate them, a heart of great kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity, leading into the way of enlightenment, knowing the various understandings and inclinations of sentient beings and saving them without using separate paths, a heart of emptiness, signlessness, wishlessness, and non-fabrication, seeing the characteristics of the triple world without grasping them, a heart adorned with an indestructible, supreme treasury of marks of felicity, thoroughly invulnerable to all demons. Based on these 10, enlightening beings can attain the supreme heart of the treasury of light of great knowledge of Buddhas. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of armor. They wear the armor of great benevolence, rescuing all sentient beings. They wear the armor of great compassion, enduring all suffering. They wear the armor of great commitment, fulfilling all their tasks. They wear the armor of dedication, constructing the adornments of all Buddhas. They wear the armor of virtue, benefiting all sentient beings. They wear the armor of the ways of transcendence, liberating all conscious beings. They wear the armor of wisdom, destroying the darkness of affliction of all sentient beings. They wear the armor of skill in means, generating universal roots of goodness. They wear the armor of the firm stability and freedom from distraction of the mind of universal knowledge, not enjoying other vehicles. They wear the armor of single-minded certainty, free from doubts and confusion in regard to all things. Based on these 10, enlightening beings can wear the supreme armor of Buddhas and crush all demon armies. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of weapon. Giving is a weapon of enlightening beings, destroying all stinginess. Self-control is a weapon of enlightening beings, getting rid of all crime. Impartiality is a weapon of enlightening beings, removing all discrimination. Wisdom is a weapon of enlightening beings, dissolving all afflictions. Right livelihood is a weapon of enlightening beings, leading away from all wrong livelihood. Skill in means is a weapon of enlightening beings, manifesting in all places. In general, all afflictions such as desire, wrath, and folly are weapons of enlightening beings because they liberate sentient beings through afflictions. Birth and death is a weapon of enlightening beings because they continue enlightening practices and teach sentient beings. Teaching the truth is a weapon of enlightening beings, able to break up all clinging. All knowledge is a weapon of enlightening beings because they do not give up the avenues of practice of enlightening beings. Based on these 10, enlightening beings can annihilate the afflictions, bondage, and compulsions accumulated by all sentient beings in the long night of ignorance. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of head. The head of nirvana, as no one can see the top. The head of honor, respected by all humans and celestials. The head of universal higher understanding, being supreme in the universe. The head of foremost roots of goodness, honored by the sentient beings of the 3 worlds. The head bearing sentient beings, developing an indestructible crown. The head of not despising others, in all places, always respectful, the head of transcendent wisdom, nurturing all virtuous qualities, the head of union of knowledge and skill in means, everywhere appearing in compatible forms, the head of teaching all sentient beings, taking all sentient beings as disciples, the head of preservation of the eye of reality of Buddhas, able to perpetuate the seeds of the three treasures. Based on these 10, enlightening beings can attain the supreme head of knowledge and wisdom of Buddhas. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of eye: the flesh eye, seeing all forms; the celestial eye, seeing the minds of all sentient beings; the wisdom eye, seeing the ranges of the faculties of all sentient beings; the reality eye, seeing the true character of all things; the Buddha eye, seeing the 10 powers of the enlightened; the eye of knowledge, knowing and seeing all things; the eye of light, seeing the light of Buddha; the eye of leaving birth and death, seeing nirvana; the unobstructed eye, its vision without hindrance; the eye of omniscience, seeing the realm of reality in its universal aspect. Based on these 10, enlightening beings attain the eye of supreme knowledge of Buddhas. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of ear. Hearing the voice of praise, they eliminate craving. Hearing the voice of criticism, they eliminate anger. Hearing explanation of the 2 lesser vehicles of individual salvation, they do not cling to or seek them. Hearing of the path of enlightening beings, they rejoice greatly. Hearing of places of pain and trouble, such as the hells, they arouse great compassion and make vows of universal salvation. Hearing tell of the wonderful things of the human and celestial worlds, they know they are impermanent phenomena. Hearing praise of the virtues of Buddhas, they work diligently to quickly fulfill them. Hearing tell of such practices as the 6 ways of transcendence and 4 means of integration, they determine to practice them and reach their ultimate end. Hearing all sounds of the world, they know they are all like echoes and penetrate untold profound meanings. Great enlightening beings, from their first determination until they reach the sight of enlightenment, always hear the true teaching, yet do not give up the work of transforming sentient beings. These are the 10. If enlightening beings accomplish these things, they will attain the supreme ear of great wisdom of Buddhas. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of nose. When they smell foul things, they do not consider them foul. When they smell fragrances, they do not consider them fragrant. When they smell both fragrance and foulness, their minds are equanimous, abiding in relinquishment. If they smell the fragrance and foulness of people's clothes, bedding, or bodies, they can discern their conditions of greed, anger, and delusion. If they smell the scents of hidden repositories, plants, and trees, and so on, they can discern them as if they were right before their eyes. If they smell scents from the hells below to the heavens above, they know the past deeds of the beings there. If they smell the fragrance of generosity, morality, learning, and wisdom of Buddha's disciples, they remain steady in the will for omniscience and do not let it be distracted. If they smell the fragrances of all enlightening practices, they enter the state of Buddhahood by impartial wisdom. If they smell the fragrance of the sphere of knowledge of all Buddhas, they still do not give up the practices of enlightening beings. If enlightening beings accomplish these things, they will acquire the infinite, boundless nose of Buddhas. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of tongue. a tongue that reveals and explains the acts of infinite sentient beings, a tongue that reveals and explains infinite doors to truth, a tongue that sings the praises of the infinite virtues of Buddhas, a tongue of infinite eloquence, a tongue that expounds aids to the path of the great vehicle, a tongue that covers all space, a tongue that illumines all Buddha fields, a tongue that awakens the understanding of all sentient beings, a tongue that causes all to praise the Buddhas, a tongue that defeats all demons and false teachers, destroys all afflictions of birth and death, and fosters arrival at nirvana. If enlightening beings accomplish these things, they will acquire the supreme tongue of Buddhas, which covers all Buddha lands. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of bodies. Human bodies to teach humans, non-human bodies to teach denizens of hells, animals, and hungry ghosts, celestial bodies to teach the beings of the realms of desire, form and formlessness, learners' bodies to demonstrate the stage of learning, non-learners' bodies to demonstrate the stage of sainthood, individual illuminates' bodies to teach the way to enter the stage of individual enlightenment, enlightening beings' bodies to foster the accomplishment of the great vehicle, Buddha's bodies anointed by the water of knowledge, mentally produced bodies generated by adaptive skills, the uncontaminated reality body, effortlessly manifesting the bodies of all sentient beings. If they accomplish these, they attain the supreme body of Buddhas. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of mind. A mind of leadership, generating all roots of goodness. A stable mind, with profound faith, steadfast and unwavering. A mind of profound penetration, understanding in accord with the teachings of Buddhas. A mind of insight, knowing the mentalities of all sentient beings. An undisturbed mind, not adulterated with any afflictions. A clear, clean mind, which externals cannot stain or adhere to. A mind observing sentient beings well, not missing proper timing in dealing with them. A mind choosing well what to do, never making a mistake anywhere. A mind closely guarding the senses, taming them and not letting them run wild. A mind skilled in entering concentration, entering deeply into the concentrations of Buddhas without egoism or selfishness. Based on these 10, enlightening beings can attain the supreme mind of all Buddhas. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of action. Hearing the teaching out of fondness for truth, expounding the teaching to benefit sentient beings, getting rid of covetousness, anger, delusion, and fear by taming their own minds. Action in the realm of desire to teach beings in that realm. Concentrations in the realms of form and formlessness to foster quick return to non-contamination. Aiming for the meaning of the teaching to quickly attain wisdom. Action in all realms of life to freely edify sentient beings. Action in all Buddha lands, honoring all Buddhas. Nirvanic action, not cutting off the continuity of birth and death. Fulfilling all qualities of Buddhahood without giving up application of the principles of enlightening beings. Based on these 10, enlightening beings can achieve the action of Buddhas that has no coming or going. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of abiding. Abiding in the will for enlightenment, never forgetting it. Abiding in the transcendent ways, not tiring of fostering enlightenment. Abiding in the teaching of truth, increasing wisdom. Abiding in dispassion, realizing great meditational concentration. abiding in conformity to universal knowledge, austerity, contentment, moderation in food, clothing and dwelling, and getting rid of evil, because few desires means few concerns. Abiding in deep faith, bearing the true teaching. Abiding in the company of the enlightened, to learn the conduct of Buddhas. Abiding in generation of spiritual powers, to fulfill great knowledge. Abiding in attainment of acceptance, fulfilling the forecast of enlightenment. Abiding in the sight of enlightenment, fulfilling power, fearlessness, and all aspects of Buddhahood. Based on these 10, enlightening beings can reach the Buddha's supreme abiding in omniscience. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of sitting. The sitting of universal monarchs, promoting all virtuous behavior. The sitting of guardian deities, independently establishing the Buddha teaching in all worlds. The sitting of Indra, king of gods, being superior lords of all sentient beings. The sitting of Brahma, being in control of their own and others' minds. The sitting of lions, being able to expound the truth. The sitting of right teaching, holding forth by means of mental command and intellectual powers. Steadfast sitting, vowing to reach the ultimate end. The sitting of great benevolence, bringing happiness to all evil sentient beings. The sitting of great compassion, tirelessly enduring all pains. Adamantine sitting, conquering demons and false teachers. Based on these, enlightening beings can attain the Buddha's supreme sitting of true awareness. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of reclining. The reclining of silent tranquility, because of practicing in accord with principle. The reclining of concentration, because of body and mind being supple. The reclining of Brahma, because of not disturbing self or others. The reclining of good works, because of having no regrets afterward. The reclining of true faith, because of being unshakable. The reclining of the right path, because of awakening by good companions. The reclining of sublime aspirations, because of skillful dedication. The reclining of completion of all tasks, because of having accomplished all that is to be done. The reclining of relinquishment of all effort, because of thorough training. Based on these, enlightening beings can attain the supreme reclining of the great teaching of Buddhas and be able to awaken all sentient beings. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of abode. The abode of great goodwill, being impartial toward all sentient beings. The abode of great compassion, not slighting the uncultivated. The abode of great joy, aloof from all vexations. The abode of great equanimity, regarding the created and uncreated equally. The abode of all transcendent ways, being led by the aspiration for enlightenment. The abode of universal emptiness, by virtue of skillful analysis. The abode of signlessness, not leaving the absolute state. The abode of wishlessness, examining the experience of taking on life. The abode of recollection and awareness, by virtue of full development of recognition of truth. The abode of equality of all things, by virtue of having gained the prediction of Buddhahood. Based on these 10, enlightening beings can reach the supreme abode of Buddhas where there is no obstruction. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of sphere of action. They take right mindfulness as their sphere of action, as they fulfill the points of mindfulness. They take all realms of being as their sphere of action, as they become truly aware of the implications of the teaching. They take wisdom as their sphere of action, gaining the joy of Buddhas. They take the transcendent ways as their sphere of action, as they fulfill omniscience. They take the four integrative practices as their sphere of action, as they educate sentient beings. They take birth and death as their sphere of action, as they accumulate roots of goodness. They take bantering with all sentient beings as their sphere of action, as they teach them according to their needs and cause them to become free. They take spiritual powers as their sphere of action, as they know the realms of the senses of all sentient beings. They take skill in means as their sphere of action, uniting them with transcendent wisdom. They take the sight of enlightenment as their sphere of action, as they attain universal knowledge without stopping the practices of enlightening beings. Based on these 10, enlightening beings can reach the supreme sphere of action of great wisdom of Buddhas. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of observation. Observation knowing all acts, seeing all details. Observation knowing various tendencies, not grasping sentient beings. Observation knowing faculties, comprehending the non-existence of faculties. Observation knowing phenomena, not violating the realm of reality. Observation seeing the verities of Buddhahood, cultivating the enlightened eye. Observation attaining wisdom, explaining things as they really are. Observation accepting the non-origination of things, definitely comprehending the teaching of Buddha. Observation in the state of non-regression, destroying all afflictions and transcending the three worlds and the stages of the lesser vehicles. Observation in the stage of coronation, by virtue of unshakable mastery of all Buddha teachings. Observation in concentration with hyperconscious knowledge, practicing charity everywhere as Buddhist service. Based on these 10, enlightening beings can attain the supremely great observational knowledge of Buddhas. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of universal observation. They observe all who come seeking of them, satisfying them without aversion. They observe all immoral sentient beings and establish them in the pure precepts of Buddhas. They observe all malicious sentient beings and settle them in the power of enlightened tolerance. They observe all lazy sentient beings and urge them to be diligent and not give up bearing the burden of the great vehicle. They observe all confused sentient beings and get them to abide in the state of universal knowledge of Buddhas, where there is no distraction. They observe all deluded sentient beings and clear away their doubts and break down reification. They observe all impartial good friends and follow their instructions to live by the Buddha teachings. They observe all principles they hear and quickly attain realizational insight into the supreme meaning. They observe the infinite sentient beings, never abandoning the power of great compassion. They observe the teachings of all Buddhas and quickly manage to accomplish universal knowledge. Based on these 10, enlightening beings can attain the universal observation of supreme wisdom of Buddhas. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of springing. The springing of a majestic bull, overshadowing all dragons, yakshas, kinnaras, gandharvas, and other creatures. The springing of a majestic elephant, their minds well tamed and gentle, carrying all sentient beings. The springing of a great water spirit, producing dense clouds of the great teaching, flashing the lightning of liberation, reverberating with the thunder of truth, and showering the sweet rain of the spiritual faculties and powers. the elements of enlightenment, meditations, liberations, and concentrations, the springing of the great golden-winged bird, evaporating the water of covetousness, breaking the shell of delusion, catching the evil poisonous dragons of affliction, and lifting beings out of the ocean of suffering of birth and death, the springing of a great majestic lion, resting secure in fearless, impartial, great knowledge, and using that as a weapon, crushing demons and false teachers, the springing of courage and strength, able to destroy the enemy, afflictions, on the great battlefront of birth and death, the springing of great knowledge, knowing the elements of body, mind, and sense experience, as well as all other interdependent productions, and freely explaining all things. The springing of mental command, retaining teachings by the power of recollection and awareness, and expounding them according to the faculties of sentient beings. The springing of intellectual powers, uninhibited and swift, analyzing everything and causing everyone to receive benefit and be happy. The springing of realization of thusness, fulfilling all aids to the way to omniscience, and with instantaneous wisdom attaining all that can be attained, understanding all that can be understood, sitting on a lion throne, conquering hostile demons, and realizing unexcelled, complete, perfect enlightenment. Based on these 10, enlightening beings can achieve the supreme springing of Buddhas in the midst of all things. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of lion's roar. They declare, "I will surely attain true enlightenment." This is the great lion's roar of the determination for enlightenment. I will enable those who have not yet transcended the world to transcend, liberate those who are not yet liberated, pacify those who are not yet at peace, and enable those who have not attained nirvana to attain it. This is the great lion's roar of great compassion. I will perpetuate the seeds of the Buddha, the teaching, and the harmonious community. This is the great lion's roar of requiting the benevolence of the Buddha. I will purify all Buddha lands. This is the great lion's roar of ultimately firm commitment. I will get rid of all evil ways and difficult situations. This is the lion's roar of personally maintaining pure conduct. I will fully attain the adorning features of body, speech, and mind of all Buddhas. This is the great lion's roar of tirelessly seeking virtue. I will fully accomplish the knowledge of all Buddhas. This is the great lion's roar of tirelessly seeking knowledge. I will annihilate all demons and all the works of demons. This is the great lion's roar of cultivating right practice to stop afflictions. I will realize that all things are selfless, without being, without life, without personality, empty, signless, wishless, and pure as space. This is the great lion's roar of the acceptance of the non-origination of all things. Enlightening beings in their last life shake all Buddha lands and make them all pure. Thereupon, all the Indras, Brahmas, and guardian deities come and praise them and entreat them. Please, enlightening being, with the truth of birthlessness, appear to be born. The enlightening beings then observe all sentient beings in the world by the unobstructed eye of wisdom, and see that there are none who compare to themselves. So they appear to be born in royal palaces, walk 7 steps by themselves, and declare in a great lion's roar, "I am supreme in the world. I will forever end the realm of birth and death." This is the great lion's roar of doing what one says. Based on these 10, enlightening beings can attain the supremely great lion's roar of Buddhas. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of pure giving. Impartial giving, not discriminating among sentient beings, giving according to wishes, satisfying others, unconfused giving, causing benefit to be gained, giving appropriately, knowing superior, mediocre, and inferior, giving without dwelling, not seeking reward, open giving, without clinging attachment, total giving, being ultimately pure, giving dedicated to enlightenment, transcending the created and the uncreated, giving to each sentient beings, never abandoning them, even to the sight of enlightenment, giving with its 3 spheres pure, observing the giver, receiver, and gift with right awareness, as being like space. Based on these 10 principles, enlightening beings can accomplish the supreme, pure, magnanimous giving of Buddhas. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of pure discipline. Pure discipline of body, guarding themselves from evil deeds. Pure discipline of speech, getting rid of faults of speech. Pure discipline of mind, forever getting rid of greed, hatred, and false views. The pure discipline of not destroying any subjects of study, being honorable leaders among people. The pure discipline of preserving the aspiration for enlightenment, not liking the lesser vehicles of individual salvation. The pure discipline of preserving the regulations of the Buddha, greatly fearing even minor offenses. The pure discipline of secret protection, skillfully drawing out undisciplined sentient beings. The pure discipline of not doing any evil, vowing to practice all virtuous principles. The pure discipline of detachment from all views of existence, having no attachment to precepts. The pure discipline of protecting all sentient beings, activating great compassion. Based on these 10 principles, enlightening beings can attain the supreme, flawless, pure discipline of Buddhas. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of pure tolerance. Pure tolerance, calmly enduring slander and vilification, to protect sentient beings. Pure tolerance, calmly enduring weapons, to protect self and others. Pure tolerance, not arousing anger and viciousness, the mind being unshakable. Pure tolerance, not attacking the low, being magnanimous when above. Pure tolerance, saving all who come for refuge, giving up one's own life. Pure tolerance, free from conceit, not slighting the uncultivated. Pure tolerance, not becoming angered at injury, because of observation of illusoriness. Pure tolerance, not revenging offenses, because of not seeing self and other. Pure tolerance, not following afflictions, being detached from all objects. Pure tolerance, knowing all things have no origin, in accord with the true knowledge of enlightening beings, entering the realm of universal knowledge without depending on the instruction of another. Based on these 10, enlightening beings can attain all Buddha's supreme tolerance of truth, understanding without depending on another. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of pure energy. Pure physical energy to attend Buddhas. Enlightening beings, teachers, and elders. Honoring fields of blessings, never retreating. Pure verbal energy, extensively explaining to others whatever teachings they learn, and praising the virtues of Buddhahood, without wearying. Pure mental energy, able to enter and exit kindness, compassion, joy, equanimity, meditations, liberations, and concentrations without cease. Pure energy of honesty, being free from deceptiveness, flattery, deviousness, and dishonesty, not regressing in any of their efforts, pure energy of determination on increasing progress, always intent on seeking higher and higher knowledge, aspiring to embody all good and pure qualities. Unwasteful, pure energy, embodying charity, morality, tolerance, learning, and diligence, continuing unceasingly until enlightenment. Pure energy conquering all demons, able to extirpate greed, hatred, delusion, false views, and all other bonds and veils of affliction. Pure energy fully developing the light of knowledge, being carefully observant in all actions, consummating them all, preventing later regret, and attaining all the unique qualities of Buddhahood. Pure energy without coming or going, attaining true knowledge, entering the door of the realm of reality, body, speech, and mind, all impartial, understanding forms are formless, and having no attachments. Pure energy developing the light of the teaching, transcending all stages and attaining the coronation of Buddhas, and with an uncontaminated body, manifesting the appearances of death and birth, of leaving home and attaining enlightenment, of teaching and passing away, fulfilling such tasks of universal good. Based on these 10, enlightening beings can attain the supreme great energy of Buddhas. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of pure meditation. Pure meditation always gladly leaving home, giving up all possessions. Pure meditation finding genuine good companions to teach the right way. Pure meditation living in the forest, enduring wind and rain and so on, being detached from self and possessions. Pure meditation leaving clamorous sentient beings, always enjoying tranquil silence. Pure meditation with harmonious mental activity, guarding the senses. Pure meditation with mind and cognition silent, impervious to all sounds and nettles of meditational concentration. Pure meditation aware of the methods of the path of enlightenment, contemplating them all and actually realizing them. Pure meditation detached from clinging to its experiences, neither grasping nor rejecting the realm of desire. Pure meditation awakening psychic knowledge, knowing the faculties and natures of all sentient beings. Pure meditation with freedom of action, entering into the concentration of Buddhas and knowing there is no self. Based on these 10, enlightening beings can attain the supreme, pure meditation of Buddhas. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of pure wisdom. Pure wisdom knowing all causes, not denying consequences. Pure wisdom knowing all conditions, not ignoring combination. Pure wisdom knowing non-annihilation and non-permanence, comprehending interdependent origination truly. Pure wisdom extracting all views, neither grasping nor rejecting characteristics of sentient beings. Pure wisdom observing the mental activities of all sentient beings, knowing they are illusory. Pure wisdom with vast intellectual power, distinguishing all truths and being unhindered in dialogue. Pure wisdom unknowable to demons, false teachers, or followers of the vehicles of individual salvation, deeply penetrating the knowledge of all Buddhas. Pure wisdom seeing the subtle reality body of all Buddhas, seeing the essential purity of all sentient beings, seeing that all phenomena are quiescent, and seeing that all lands are the same as space, knowing all characteristics without impediment, pure wisdom with all powers of mental command, analytic abilities, liberative means and ways of transcendence, fostering the attainment of all supreme knowledge. Pure wisdom instantly uniting with adamantine knowledge comprehending the equality of all things, attaining the most honorable knowledge of all things. Based on these 10, enlightening beings can attain the unobstructed great wisdom of Buddhas. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of pure benevolence. Impartial pure benevolence, caring for all sentient beings without discrimination. Helpful pure benevolence, bringing happiness by whatever they do. Pure benevolence, taking care of people in the same way as oneself, ultimately bringing about emancipation from birth and death. Pure benevolence, not abandoning the world, the mind always focused on accumulating roots of goodness. Pure benevolence able to bring liberation, causing all sentient beings to annihilate all afflictions. Pure benevolence generating enlightenment, inspiring all sentient beings to seek omniscience. Pure benevolence unobstructed by the world, radiating great light, illuminating everywhere equally. Pure benevolence filling space, reaching everywhere to save sentient beings. Pure benevolence focused on truth, realizing the truth of thusness. Pure benevolence without object, entering enlightening beings' detachment from life. Based on these 10, enlightening beings can attain the supreme, vast, pure benevolence of Buddhas. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of pure compassion. Pure compassion without companion, as they make their determination independently. Tireless pure compassion, not considering it troublesome to endure pain on behalf of all sentient beings. Pure compassion taking on birth in difficult situations for the purpose of liberating sentient beings. Pure compassion taking on birth in pleasant conditions to show impermanence. Pure compassion for the sake of wrongly fixated sentient beings, never giving up their vow of universal liberation. Pure compassion, not clinging to personal pleasure, giving happiness to all sentient beings. Pure compassion, not seeking reward, purifying their minds. Pure compassion, able to remove delusion by explaining the truth. Great enlightening beings know all things are in essence pure and have no clinging or irritation. But suffering is experienced because of afflictions of adventitious defilements. Knowing this, they conceive great compassion for sentient beings. This is called essential purity, as they explain to them the principle of undefiled pure light. Great enlightening beings know that all phenomena are like the tracks of birds in the sky, but that sentient beings' eyes are clouded by delusion, and they cannot clearly realize this. Observing them, enlightening beings conceive great compassion. This is called true knowledge, as they teach them the principle of nirvana. These are 10 kinds of pure compassion, based on which enlightening beings attain the supremely great compassion of Buddhas. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of pure joy. The pure joy of aspiring to enlightenment, the pure joy of relinquishing all possessions, the pure joy of not rejecting undisciplined sentient beings, but teaching them and maturing them, the pure joy of being able to tolerate evil-doing sentient beings and vowing to save and liberate them, the pure joy of giving one's life in search of truth without regret, the pure joy of giving up sensual pleasures and always taking pleasure in truth, the pure joy of inducing sentient beings to give up material pleasures and always take pleasure in truth, the pure joy of cosmic equanimity, tirelessly honoring and serving all Buddhas they see, the pure joy of teaching all sentient beings to enjoy meditations, liberations, and concentrations, and to freely enter and emerge from them. The pure joy of gladly carrying out all austere practices that accord with the way of enlightening beings, and realizing the tranquil, imperturbable, supreme calmness and wisdom of the sage. Based on these 10, enlightening beings can attain the supremely great, pure joy of Buddhas. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of pure equanimity. The pure equanimity of not becoming emotionally attached to sentient beings who honor and support them. The pure equanimity of not being angered at sentient beings who slight and revile them. The pure equanimity of always being in the world, but not being affected by the vicissitudes of worldly things. The pure equanimity of instructing sentient beings who are fit for the teaching at the appropriate times, while not conceiving aversion for sentient beings who are not fit for the teaching. The pure equanimity of not seeking the states of learning or non-learning of the 2 lesser vehicles. The pure equanimity of the mind always being aloof from all desires that are conducive to affliction. The pure equanimity of not praising the 2 lesser vehicles, aversion to birth and death. The pure equanimity of avoiding worldly talk, talk that is not of nirvana, talk that is not dispassionate, talk that is not according to truth, talk that disturbs others, talk of individual salvation, and in general, all talk that obstructs the path of enlightening beings. The pure equanimity of waiting for the appropriate times to teach sentient beings whose faculties are mature and have developed mindfulness and precise awareness, but do not yet know the supreme truth. The pure equanimity of waiting for the appropriate times to teach sentient beings whom the enlightening being has already instructed in the past, but who cannot be tamed until the enlightening being reaches Buddhahood. The pure equanimity of not considering people as higher or lower, being free from grasping and rejection, being aloof from all kinds of discriminatory notions, always being rightly concentrated, penetrating truth and attaining tolerance. Based on these 10, enlightening beings can attain the supremely pure equanimity of Buddhas. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of principle. The principle of great learning, steadfastly putting it into practice. The principle of truth, skillfully thinking about it and discerning it. The principle of emptiness, the ultimate truth being emptiness. The principle of silence and calm, being detached from the clamor and confusion of sentient beings. The principle of inexpressibility, not clinging to words. The principle of according with truth, realizing that past, present, and future are equal. The principle of the realm of reality, all things being one in essence. The principle of true thusness, as all who realize thusness enter it. The principle of the limit of reality, realizing ultimate truth. The principle of great ultimate nirvana, extinguishing all suffering, yet carrying out the practices of enlightening beings. Based on these 10, enlightening beings can attain the supreme principle of omniscience. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of law. The law of truth, practicing what they teach. The law of detachment from clinging, detaching from both the clinger and that which is clung to. The law of non-contention, being free from all confusing conflicts. The law of silent extinction, extinguishing all irritations. The law of legitimate truth. The law of dispassion, all covetousness being ended. The law of freedom from false notions, all arbitrary conceptualization clinging to objects permanently ceasing, the law of birthlessness, being immovable as space, the law of the uncreated, being detached from appearances of origin, subsistence, and annihilation, the law of basic essence, being inherently pure, the law of abandoning all nirvana, in which there is still suffering, to be able to generate all practices of enlightening beings and carry them out uninterruptedly. Based on these 10, enlightening beings can attain the supremely great law of Buddhas. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of virtues instrumental in fostering enlightenment. Urging sentient beings to generate the aspiration for enlightenment is one of enlightening beings' virtues, instrumental in fostering enlightenment, because it perpetuates the 3 treasures. Following the 10 kinds of dedication is one of enlightening beings' virtues, instrumental in fostering enlightenment, because it stops all that is not good and accumulates all that is good. Wisely guiding and teaching is one of enlightening beings' virtues, instrumental in fostering enlightenment, because it transcends the virtues of the worlds of desire, form, and formlessness. Indefatigability of mind is one of enlightening beings' virtues, instrumental in fostering enlightenment, because thereby they finally liberate all sentient beings. Relinquishing all internal and external possessions is one of enlightening beings' virtues, instrumental in fostering enlightenment, because of having no attachments to anything at all. Working unflaggingly to fully develop spiritual refinements is one of enlightening beings' virtues, instrumental in fostering enlightenment, by opening the gate of great charity without limit. Dedicating all roots of goodness, superior, middling, or lesser, to supreme enlightenment without slighting any, is one of enlightening beings' virtues, instrumental in fostering enlightenment, being consonant with skill in means. Generating great compassion for bad sentient beings who are mean and fixed on error, not despising them, is one of enlightening beings' virtues, instrumental in fostering enlightenment, by virtue of always activating the heart of universal commitment of great people, honoring and serving all Buddhas, and bringing joy to all sentient beings, is one of enlightening beings' virtues, instrumental in fostering enlightenment, as they keep their original will most firm and steadfast. Great enlightening beings accumulate roots of goodness over measureless eons, wishing to attain realization of supreme enlightenment themselves, as though it were in their palm. Yet they give away all their roots of goodness to all sentient beings without any grief or regret, their minds being as broad as space. This is a virtue of enlightening beings, instrumental in fostering enlightenment, as they develop great wisdom and realize great truth. Based on these 10, enlightening beings can embody the supremely great mass of virtues of Buddhas. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of knowledge, instrumental in fostering enlightenment. They associate with learned, genuine teachers, and respectfully attend them, obeying them in every way, not deviating from their instructions. This is one, being totally honest without falsehood. They give up conceit forever. They are always humble and respectful. Their thoughts, words, and deeds are free from coarseness. They are harmonious and agreeable, and do not prevaricate. This is the second, as their beings become capable of bearing the Buddha teaching. They are mentally collected, aware, always alert, never distracted or confused, conscientious and agreeable, Their minds are calm and imperturbable. They always remember the 6 thoughts, always practice the 6-fold respect, and always abide by the 6 principles of steadfastness. This is the third, being a way to develop 10-fold knowledge. They take pleasure in truth and principle, always enjoying listening to teaching of truth, abandoning worldly philosophies and theses, always concentrating on listening to transcendental talk, leaving the lesser vehicles of individual salvation behind, and entering the wisdom of the great vehicle of universal salvation. This is the fourth, single-mindedly recollecting without distraction. They bear the 6 ways of transcendence in mind wholeheartedly, have already perfected the practice of the 4 immeasurable minds, follow the methods of illumination, and skillfully put them into practice. They earnestly question intelligent people of knowledge, avoid bad tendencies, and aim for good ways. Their minds always like contemplation with right recollection. They subdue their own feelings and protect the minds of others. This is the 5th, firmly executing true practice. They always appreciate emancipation and do not cling to the world. They are always aware of their own minds and never have any evil thoughts. They have done away with greed, anger, and malevolence, and their thoughts, words, and deeds are all good. They have certain knowledge of the inherent nature of mind. This is the 6th, able to purify one's own and others' minds. They observe the 5 clusters as being like illusory phenomena, the elements like poisonous snakes, the sense mediums like desolate villages, all things as like illusions, flames, reflections, dreams, shadows, echoes, images, like paintings in the sky, like a turning wheel of fire, like the colors of the rainbow, like sunlight and moonlight, signless and formless, neither permanent nor ending, not coming or going, and not abiding either. Contemplating in this way, they know all things have no origin and no destruction. This is the 7th, knowing that the essential nature of all things is empty and quiescent. When great enlightening beings hear that phenomena have no self, no being, no soul, no person, no mind, no object, no greed, no anger, no delusion, no body, no thing, no master, no sustenance, no attachment, and no action, all of these having no existence, being ultimately nil, having heard this, they deeply believe it, without doubt or repudiation. This is the 8th, being able to perfect complete understanding. Great enlightening beings tame their faculties well, and they cultivate action according to truth. They always abide in tranquility and insight, and their minds are silent and calm, with no disturbing thoughts arising. They have no self, no person, no fabrication, no conditioning, no idea of self doing anything, no excess or lack, no sense of attainment of this either. Their physical, verbal, and mental actions have no coming or going, no energy, no vigor. They see all things and all beings impartially and do not dwell on anything. They are neither of this world nor beyond it, notions of here and there being inherently irrelevant. They come from nowhere and go nowhere. They always meditate in this way by means of knowledge and wisdom. This is the 9th, reaching transcendence of forms of discriminations. Because great enlightening beings see the principle of independent origination, they see the purity of phenomena. Because they see the purity of phenomena, they see the purity of lands. Because they see the purity of lands, they see the purity of space. Because they see the purity of space, they see the purity of the realm of reality. Because they see the purity of the realm of reality, they see the purity of knowledge. This is the 10th, cultivating and accumulating all knowledge. These are enlightening beings' 10 kinds of knowledge instrumental in fostering enlightenment, based on which they can attain the Buddha's store of unimpeded, pure, subtle knowledge of all truths. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of sufficiency of insight, skillfully analyzing all things, not grasping or clinging to anything, divorcing all deluded views, illumining all senses with the light of knowledge, skillfully generating rightly directed energy, being able to deeply penetrate knowledge of absolute truth, extinguishing the actions of afflictions and developing the knowledge of extinction and knowledge of birthlessness, observing everywhere with the knowledge of the celestial eye, knowing the purity of the past by the recollection of past states, annihilating the contaminations of sentient beings by the spiritual knowledge of ending contamination. Based on these 10, enlightening beings can attain the supreme illumination of all teachings of the Buddhas. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of quest for truth. Quest for truth with a straightforward mind, being free from dishonesty. Diligent quest for truth, being free from laziness. Wholly devoted quest for truth, not begrudging their lives. Quest for truth to destroy all sentient beings' afflictions, not doing it for fame, profit, or respect. Quest for truth to benefit self and others, all sentient beings, not just helping themselves. Quest for truth to enter knowledge and wisdom, not taking pleasure in literature. Quest for truth to leave birth and death, not craving worldly pleasures. Quest for truth to liberate sentient beings, engendering the determination for enlightenment. Quest for truth to resolve the doubts of all sentient beings, to free them from vacillation. Quest for truth to fulfill Buddhahood, not being inclined to lesser aims. Based on these 10, enlightening beings can attain great knowledge of all elements of Buddhahood without being instructed by another. Great enlightening beings have 10 kinds of understanding of truth. Generating and developing roots of goodness in accord with the conventional world is the way of understanding of truth of unenlightened, ordinary people. Attaining indestructible faith, aware of the essence of things, is the way of understanding truth of people acting according to faith. Leaving behind erroneous ways and turning to the eightfold right path is the way people aiming for stream entering understand truth. Getting rid of bonds, putting an end to the contaminations of birth and death, and seeing reality is the stream enterer's understanding of truth. Seeing tasting as affliction and knowing no coming or going is the once returner's understanding of truth. Not taking pleasure in the world, seeking to end contamination, not having so much as a single thought of attachment to life, is the non-returner's understanding of truth. Attaining the 6 spiritual powers, 8 liberations, 9 concentration states, and 4 special knowledges, all fully developed, is the saint's understanding of truth. Naturally being inclined to contemplate uniform interdependent origination, the mind always tranquil and content, having few concerns, understanding causality, awakening on one's own without depending on another, accomplishing various kinds of spiritual knowledge, is the individual illuminate's understanding of truth. Having vast knowledge, all faculties clear and sharp, always inclined to liberate all sentient beings, diligently cultivating virtue and knowledge to foster enlightenment, fully developing Buddha's 10 powers, fearlessnesses, and other attributes, is the enlightening being's understanding of truth. Based on these 10, enlightening beings can attain the understanding of truth of the supreme great knowledge of Buddhas. Great enlightening beings have 10 norms of practice. Honoring the wise, always being alerted by the celestial spirits, always having shame and conscience before the Buddhas, having pity for sentient beings and not abandoning birth and death, carrying tasks through to consummation without change of mind, single-mindedly following the enlightening beings who aspire to universal enlightenment and diligently learning, getting rid of wrong views and earnestly seeking the right path, destroying demons and the actions of afflictions, knowing the different faculties and temperaments of sentient beings, and teaching them to enable them to live in the state of Buddhahood, abiding in the infinitely vast cosmos of reality, removing afflictions and purifying the body. Based on these 10, enlightening beings can attain the Buddha's supreme method of practice. For great enlightening beings, there are 10 kinds of demons. The demon of the clusters of mental and material elements, giving rise to attachments. The demon of afflictions, perpetually confusing and defiling. The demon of actions, able to obstruct and inhibit. The demon of mind, which gives rise to pride. The demon of death, which abandons life. The demon of heaven, being self-indulgent. The demon of roots of goodness, because of perpetual clinging. The demon of concentration, because of long indulgence in the experience. The demon of aspiration. The demon of spiritual teachers, because of giving rise to feelings of attachment. The demon of the phenomenon of enlightenment, because of not wanting to relinquish it. Great enlightening beings should apply appropriate means to quickly escape these demons.